this new rapper that was coming up that had beaten murder cases and supposedly had more bodies. At that time, it was kind of like a lot of rumored stuff with like a couple of murders. It was rumored he was involved in these things. After he died, you know, the Chicago police released some paperwork to say that he was, you know, prime suspect in a couple murders. That allows them to close those cases after Von had died. He had an official murder charge that he beat. It was fluky, man. So it was him and a guy called Big Mike, and Big Mike's just come out of jail recently, so he's been doing interviews talking about this case. Von and a guy called Big Mike, they were turned up to like a barbecue house party type thing, ended up opening fire on 3 people that were there. One of them, a guy called Malcolm, ends up dying. 2 of them are hit, but they survive, and Von and Big Mike end up being charged with a count of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Or as Von would put it, a body in 2 attempts. He said he'd say that a lot. What ended up happening was when they sat them down for interview, Von didn't say a word. Big Mike said, I let off shots, but Von was the one that killed him. So there's this thing of like, he was trying to snitch. Here's the crazy thing, because Von said nothing, they had nothing on him. But the other guy said, I let off shots, but it was Von that killed him. So he's let everyone know that he let off shots. So as far as the jury is concerned, we got a statement of you saying you let off shots. So we got you on this case. So they offer Big Mike a deal to say, well, tell you what, if you fully flip on Von and say Von did the murder, we're going to give you a deal.
What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show. Trap Lord Ross, welcome, sir.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
All the way from across the pond, too.
Yeah.
What brings you to America?
Man, I'm here for a bunch of different things. You know, mainly Adam22 from No Jumper, who's a good friend of mine, is doing a pop-up shop. So he's got the clothing brand. I think he's got a collab with, I don't know if you know the brand Awful Lot of Cough Syrup, but they got
I don't. Unfamiliar.
a lot of the rappers be rocking it, and they got a pop-up. So I kind of mainly came out for that, but I've ended up falling into just a bunch of podcasts while I'm out here. And it's been lit, man. The city's been showing me love.
Oh, that's great, man. I saw you were doing Vlad when you were here.
Yeah, that was the first thing I think the very first thing I did when I got here was Vlad, right? I had a little studio session. I went to see Vlad. But that's super inspiring, man. Vlad's someone I look up to, man, in this kind of hip-hop media space. Like, he's one of the greats. So
absolutely.
It was great to just sit and chop it up with him, man. Like, that was inspiring.
Absolutely. He's been doing it a long time. And, like, the thing about him is he puts out so much content. He's so consistent. Like, that old quote, like, you just got to show up and do the work. Like, it's kind of oversaid, but, I mean, he's a living example of that for sure.
Yeah, and he was giving me advice, and that's almost, you know, close to what he was saying as far as just being consistent. Don't stop. Yeah. You know, you got to keep pushing. Just keep chasing that next piece of content. And
yeah.
But yeah, man, super inspiring. I look up to Vlad, man. So obviously, you know, Adam's a friend of mine. Been doing pods with him. Did a pod with Academics. So
cool.
It's been non-stop, man. I'm losing my voice a little bit, but you know, we're gonna,
you got the nice Sunday groucher.
Yeah. We just said I need to record a couple songs. I need to throw the auto tune on this and like, make a little hit. Can make a couple hits. Can you get that? You guys need to load up the auto tune.
Yeah.
I might have to smash it now.
I'll start EQing you over here while you're talking.
Yeah, man.
What's the story with the Mafia though? You were saying you wanted to look at some content while you were here on that as well. Have you always been into that?
I'm not going to say too much, but I'm kind of putting together a project that's like, you know, a lot of people know me for the gangster rap, drill music, kind of gang history stuff. But I'm, like I say, I linked up with Vlad. Like, I'm trying to do something maybe a little bit more on the Italian-American mob history, kind of mafia story. You know, you got a poster of The Godfather right there.
Stick with us, pal. We got you.
Yeah, you guys are connected, I've heard, man. You're talking about all the people you're going to put me in touch with. But now, shout out my guy, Gene Borello. You know, he's a kind of ex-mob guy that is doing the content game right now. We did a couple of days shooting with him. Really interesting, man. We had a crazy interview, and he was breaking a lot of stuff down for us with the mob history. But that's something I'm working on just on the side. You know, the main thing I'm into is sort of hip hop, drill music, gangster rap, and that's like a bit of fun. But you know, a lot of Italian American mobsters kind of inspired rappers. You know, a lot of people with Capone and Gotti in their rap names and stuff. You know, it's all connected with the history. So yeah, man, I'm excited for that.
It is connected. I always tell people, if you look at this skyline here on the wall, and I mean, you've been looking at it all week from the outside too. Every one of those fucking buildings there went up with the permission and express financial backing of the U.S. Italian-American Mafia. Yeah. Which is a crazy thing to think about. I'm not saying that's like all a good thing or whatever, but it is true. Like they you know, between the concrete contracts and the unions and everything, that skyline was kind of built by them. It's this weird dichotomy of, like, I guess, American capitalism that sometimes I think about. But,
yeah, I'm doing my research on it at the moment. It's interesting. I'm trying to put together, like, all the different rackets that the mob were involved in. Like, obviously, like you say, construction's a big thing, you know, gambling, loan sharking, but it's like I'm doing my research, just it's crazy. You look into it a little bit closer and you're like, damn, the mob had it locked down in a lot of places. Like they were making money from a lot of different things. You know, there's obviously Michael Franzese is a big mob guy that does a lot of interviews. He was doing some scam with gas, rebates on gas. Genius. Making, Gene was telling me he was making something like $8 million a day or something crazy at his height. So it gets deep with the mob, man. Like you say, they built that shit.
That's crazy, man. And actually, Alessi, Gene is friends with Tiff. Tiff's been doing a lot of content with Gene. Tiff Fong. Oh, no. Yeah, because he was like locked up with SBF.
Yeah, he was telling me all about that, man. He was had some crazy stories about being locked up with rappers as well. He was in there with K-Flock. I mean, he was telling me about SBF, like people trying to extort him, and he was saying he was like he said he was sticking up for SBF, man. He was trying not to let some of the gangsters in there play too hardball with him, man. Crazy story. But the crazy thing about Gene is I linked up with him. I'm trying to tell him to like get in the sort of hip hop media space because he's done time with a lot of famous rappers. He's on a lot of these mob podcasts where they might not know who K-Flock is, right? But he's popping up with my people talking about I was in the hole with K-Flock, and
you're like, tell me more.
We're like, yo, that's crazy. And he's going to the mob podcast. They don't know what that's all about, right? No. So it's like he's got a whole bunch of stories that are relevant to like my side of the internet. I'm trying to tap him into this stuff because he was telling me about he's doing time with Fetty Wap, Casanova, K-Flock, Rowdy Rebel. You know, we went to the Bobby Shmurda show on 420 Eve, and he'd done time with Bobby Shmurda too. So it's just his stories are epic. But that's the thing that just goes to show you how much crossover there is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Fetty Wap thing is so sad. What happened there? My buddy Luke Servino was managing Remy Boy Monty for a while back in like 2018, 2019, and I got to spend some time around Mont. And the backstory, this is where it just breaks my heart with like some of the bullshit that happens in the industry, the things you don't see or hear in the back rooms where people get fucked and then it ends up trickling over into their mental and then into their real life. And it's like, it was really sad when Fetty Wap got clipped, but I mean, we saw that coming. I never hung out with the guy. I don't know him, but like from the other guys, like saw that coming 3 years before that happened. It's really a shame. But anyway, we're here to talk about you and all the stuff you've been doing. Your channel's awesome. We will have the link in the description, of course. And chances are, a lot of people out there, you've probably seen it before. Maybe a lot of you probably know Trap Lord Ross. Others maybe don't realize this is the guy, but the most famous documentary you did was obviously the King Von one. We will get to that today for sure. But you've been doing these for like 5-6 years, something like that. What? First of all, you're from the UK and you're a hip hop head. How does this happen?
Yeah, it does make sense, man. People look at me and I'm the last person you'd expect to be, the guy that knows everything about this genre and this history.
You look like you just wrote a philosophy book.
Well, you know what? I feel like it's funny because it comes in handy in a way. I feel like people look at me and they're like, this dork doesn't know anything. But it's like, people say I look smart, but it's like I don't look hip-hop smart. But it's like, I know the right stuff. But
they're going to learn.
Yeah, apparently. But you know what it is? You know what? Sometimes I feel like not looking the way you're supposed to look, that helps you. Because people look at me and they're like, he's not going to know about hip-hop. And I start talking and they're like, oh, okay, I should know what he's talking about.
Oh, shit.
And then they win them over. But how did I get into this, man? Well, ever since I was a little kid, I had 2 older brothers. And they were super into hip-hop. So I was born in London. Ended up moving to like a small town on the coast of England called Bognor Regis, which is very not hip-hop. But you'd never know this area. But I had 2 older brothers that had spent more time in London growing up. They were super into hip hop. One of them was, trying his hand at rapping. The other one was making beats. Oh. And so I was like, I'd have been like 5 or 6 first, even listening to understanding what music was all about. It was nothing but hip hop, Jay-Z, Nas, listening to 50, Eminem. And that's all I listened to growing up. And I've never really but I've never really gotten into any other genres of music. You won't catch me listening to the Beatles or rock bands. I couldn't even tell you any rock bands. That wouldn't happen. I don't listen to anything but rap ever. That's just not on the table. I don't like hearing it. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear your indie band that you think I'm going to like. I'm not trying to hear that at all. I'm only listening to hip hop. That's what I'm into. I just love the way the music's constructed. I love the storytelling. Just my whole life. It's all I grew up with. And I know I don't look like it, but that's just the way it is.
Who cares? It's great, man. Hey, whatever. Music's such a special thing. How people connect with it or why it hits them, where they're from, what they're about, doesn't matter. I mean, something I've connected with in my life, it's like, how? And I'm sure everyone listening right now can say the same thing. It just does something to us. It's so cool.
It's powerful, man. I feel music is really one of those things that has the power to really change your state. Yes. It's like, sometimes it's like drugs, you know, you take
is.
drugs and it changes your state. Certain music, like for me, if I'm tired in the morning, I throw on the right song, you know, and again, we talk about drill music, gangster rap. Like, I'm not living a gangster, murderous lifestyle, but if I'm tired in the morning and I throw on a King Von song, I'm ready to go kill it in the gym. You know, I'm ready to go kill it at the office. So, but for real, that stuff changes your state, and you know, gangster rap can put you in that zone of getting shit done and really getting it. And music's always been like aspirational to me. You know, you had like the bling era of hip hop. It's all about cash money, getting money, and like you know what it's like. Like sometimes you need to throw something like that on and put in some work. And I find music's just super, super powerful as far as how it changes your state and also the storytelling. Like, look, I'm from a million miles away from O Block or the Hood or whatever, anything like that. But this music's given me a window into understanding places and, you know, people's backgrounds that I could have never maybe appreciated, right? Yeah, I don't know what it's like to grow up in the Marcy Projects, but from listening to all of Jay-Z's music throughout his entire career, I have an understanding of what people like him were going through.
Guys, if you're still watching this video and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please take 2 seconds and go hit it right now. Thank you.
And like I said, the music's powerful. It's powerful storytelling. And my job is really to just try and like listen to those stories that you hear in the music and just make it easier for people to understand what's really going on.
Oh, yeah. You do a great job with it. But you had mentioned a few of the names you got into, like Nas, Jay-Z, 50. Was there any one artist or one song even when you were little that like it hit you and it just changed it and suddenly like that really set off the path?
I mean, I was huge into Eminem. I think like I guess it's kind of like Eminem's thing was like he was like angry white boy, and I guess I was probably a bit of an angry white boy when I was a kid too. You just kind of like, you know, growing up, I was listening to Eminem way too young to be honest, but it's like growing up, becoming a teenager, dealing with bullies at school, you know. A lot of that stuff spoke to me. Eminem's got, you know, he got that song about, what was it, brain damage, where he's talking about the kid that beat him up in school and he was having all these issues and fighting this kid. And just, you know, I'm just going through school. I'm having bullies at school, getting in fights at school. And it's just, that stuff really connected with me on a deeper level as far as like it felt personal. You know, Eminem was this sort of trailer trash, white trash, 8 Mile trailer park guy. He wasn't a gangster like, you know, Jay-Z's thing was drug dealer, mafia, rap kind of thing, which I couldn't really relate to, even though I loved it. And it was like an insight into a different world. But the Eminem stuff of just being an angry kid, not fitting in, you know, that resonated with me. And like those songs like that early Eminem stuff, you know, his Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, just them feelings like really spoke to me a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd probably say Eminem. I don't know if I could pick out like a specific song, but like Slim Shady LP. I had that way too young. Because again, I had older brothers, so I would be sneaking, taking their CDs and their records and stuff, listening to them, trying not to let my parents know what sort of content I was taking in. I'd have been like 6 or 7, you know, like listening to this stuff. But it just had a huge effect on me. It had a profound effect on me, you know, and it's funny. It's like now looking back, it's like it made so much sense. Like I was listening to all of this hip hop and it's like it all came in handy for this career that I had. But before I was doing this professionally, you know, it was just like I was just this weird kid obsessed with hip hop, and I didn't really fit in. You know, it was like it probably took 20 years for that to kind of come back around and be handy for what I was actually doing with my life.
Yeah.
But I've just always loved hip hop, and if this career wasn't there, I'd still just be listening to hip hop and just obsessed with the genre. So that's how it would be.
Well, that's beautiful because that's your passion, and when people, I love when people make their careers into their passion, do a great job with it. But you know, did you kind of how did it start? Like, did you just say, I'm going to make a video one day and not think anything of it? Or were you like, oh, I know all the history on this stuff. I want to start sharing that and let's figure out how to scale this up?
Nah, so it happened randomly, man. Like I've wanted to be a rapper since I was a kid. Right?
Oh, you want to be a rapper
I wanted to be a rapper because I was so into this stuff. I wanted to be a rapper. So
what was your rap name?
Man, at the start, I ain't gonna say it. No, I can't say it because I've managed to keep my failed rap career a secret.
How was the White Preacher? Years. We can all share it.
The White Preacher's crazy. The White Preacher's wild. That's a wild name. No, I wasn't moving like that. But no, I don't want to say. I'm not gonna say. It's like an Easter egg. People that know that are really, really deep in the trenches of my history will know. But no, I was trying to rap under a few different names. But like, even since I was a kid, like I was a kid in probably like I want to say like the 3rd grade, and there was like a school prom disco thing. And like me and my friends got together and made like a rap song. And like my older brothers who were rapping would help me and my friends when we'd have been like 9 or something, make this rap song. And they like played it at the school disco and it was lit. And we were like, yeah, like it's just this crazy thing. But, you know, I was making songs and making music videos and shit wasn't really going anywhere. But I was with a camera, you know, making music videos, making songs, just being creative, just trying to do this thing I was into. And it's funny how when I got a little bit older, I wanted to just get into the industry, so I started like filming rap videos for like local rappers, in London or in my area, when I wasn't living in London, and just trying to I just wanted to be in the game with rappers doing stuff, right? So I was making them music videos for no money. It was slightly a waste of time, but it was kind of like fun. I was enjoying being in the mix, being with rappers, being on a shoot. But on the side of that, I also ended up for a period I was doing like stand-up comedy. Like in London, there's like a big stand-up scene like there is out here. So I was doing open mics and filming sketches and just being creative with it. Anything to do with a camera and comedy and music and just messing around. It wasn't going anywhere. I was getting no views. I started my channel. I would drop little skits and get 20 views, 30, 40, 50 views.
How old are you again when you're doing this?
When I was doing that, this would have been like any time between like I was 17 and like 23. This would have been like end of college, university kind of time. And I was just messing around, but no one was fucking with it. Basically, I was getting no views. I was doing stand-up comedy. I was dying on stage, but just
you're doing stand-up comedy too?
I was doing stand-up comedy in there. Yeah, I was just trying to be creative and just get into anything. Nothing was working at the time, and then like it was just random. Like I had a friend of mine that was trying to do YouTube as well. Both of us just not really getting anywhere. But he'd said to me, he was kind of like, yo, you do all of these, you're so into hip hop. Like when you're at a party, I'm the guy that I'll be hearing a song and telling people like, yo, you know this song? Like, when he says this, like he means this. And my friend was like, why don't you do a video about like that kind of stuff? And I remember I was kind of like, I don't know if anyone wants to hear like a white kid from Bognor talking about the hip hop history. And he was like, I don't know, maybe give it a try. And I started doing a couple of videos in that genre, these sort of mini documentary type things. And I did one on Jay-Z shooting his brother when he was 12. And what
happened there?
That just went viral straight away. So this is like a famous, there's a bunch of lyrics from Jay-Z's like early career where he's talking about he had to shoot his brother when he was 12. His brother was like a crackhead, stealing from the family. And, Jay-Z was like very young, sort of, getting into drug dealing, getting into the streets, kind of had something to prove. He ended up shooting his brother. He didn't die, but like it was something that he'd referred to in a lot of his lyrics over the years, just this situation that happened. And it was just one of those things that like I knew about from the lyrics and from reading, a book about Jay-Z and reading online. And it was just like, oh, let me tell that story. Like that was the most interesting rap story I could kind of think of at the time. I made a list of stories and that was my favorite, but I think I dropped that and it got like 20,000 views in a couple of days organically. And I'd never seen anything like that. Like I was dropping sketches on YouTube for like, ever since I had a YouTube channel since like 2015, but it was like 4 years. No one was really rocking with it. But it was in January 2019. I did the Jay-Z thing, which went kind of viral on its own. And from then I just knew, I was like, I think I got something here. I'd never seen anything that I just put on YouTube, just organically just get hits like that. I'd never seen anything like it. So
I also don't think there are channels that obviously cover hip hop history, but I personally haven't seen anything that goes into the depth you go into doing it. Like I was showing Alessi some of these docs. I'm like, dude, he's making like 3.5 hour, 5 hour docs, and like and you talk fast and eloquently, and it's all scripted as well to make sure it's all organized. Like we know how much work goes into that kind of thing. It's unbelievable. And so I often think about like the people who are really into stuff that's like popular, in your case, like hip hop music, which many billions of people around the world love, but they're looking for certain type of content on their hobby and they can't find it. So then they do it. Yeah, and that's kind of what you did.
Yeah, in fact, that's definitely it. To be fair, I want to show some respect. Like there were other channels doing sort of that were doing well in this space at that time, and like channels. Another one that was great, Diverse Mentality, guy Quake that runs that channel. He's a good guy. Let's pull that up. But he was doing the sort of more like hip hop beef histories early. Again, scripted, really well put together, really well edited. And so he was definitely an inspiration. Other channels, there's a guy Blackie Speaks, who kind of was more doing like hip hop news commentary type stuff. But yeah, Diverse Mentality. So like,
we got it on the screen.
He'd been doing it for a minute, man. His stuff's sick. But if you go on videos, like if you hit videos and hit most popular, it's like scroll down just a little.
Diddy response. Of course, the Diddy one's most popular. We're gonna talk about him today.
He's been plugged in, but like he's got like the Nipsey Hussle documentary. That's like a damn near 2 hour documentary. Or he does the Who Really Ones about other people. 50 Cent versus Ja Rule. That was a classic video. So he really inspired me.
Oh, that's cool.
Blackie Speaks. His is more the like short. You type in Blackie Speaks, short like commentary videos about like hip hop news and stuff. Yeah, that's him there. See the first channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like,
Oh, I've seen that thumbnail.
yeah. So he's been doing his thing. Channel, there's a lot of
It just
people.
popped on my feed the other day.
Hello Yassine is another good channel that was kind of, he'd been doing it before I was really, really popping. But yeah, it's a whole ecosystem. But I feel like in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years since I've been big, a lot of copycats been doing the same kind of thing. But that's what YouTube's like. It's it's like there was already a style out there when I started doing it. I tried to kind of add my little spin to it, go longer, go deeper, and then other people have now popped up that are kind of like doing their thing and creating this documentary style content. But I just love this space. Like any new channels that pop up, I love watching them. I'm trying to consume as much information about this space as possible because I'm just really into this stuff. So
yeah, and you're branching, like you branch the worlds together. So you're not just going through the rap side of it. You also do separate content on, by the way, like a lot of the rap is still tied into gang culture and everything. So let's look at some of those docs as well. Which had you ever, before you got into doing this, had you ever studied that side of it as much, or were you more focused on like what they, translating what they were saying in hip hop?
At the start, it was more hip hop beef. Like it was more 50 Cent versus Rick Ross, the beef. What happened in the beef. Jay-Z, what happened with his brother. It wasn't really gangster content. It was more just like that was a crazy story.
Right.
You had like Gucci Mane with his self-defense case. They tried to kill him and he killed somebody and it was he got a murder case. Then it was self-defense that he beat. Well, man, it happens. It happens in hip hop. It does be happening, unfortunately. But like it wasn't like gangster content. It was more just like real crazy situations that popped off with hip hop. So I was probably doing it for a year or so. Really, the Tekashi 6ix9ine situation, that sort of was maybe the first foray into the gang content, more because he was a guy that he'd positioned himself as a blood. He was a gang member. 6ix9ine, sort of the fake blood, ends up snitching on everybody. But that was like, I was reading paperwork about 6ix9ine's case and obviously the Bloods and all the stuff that he got involved in. It's very gangster content. But his story was interesting because it was like he was a fake blood that got sucked into the lifestyle. But then after that story, I'm moving on to other things, finding out about more real gangs, real gangsters that are involved in the music. And obviously Chicago is a big part of that. But it just kind of happened naturally. I think early I was doing more the rap beefs. And then it kind of got towards more like gang rappers that were popping off. And also drill music and gangster rap really came back in a big way during that period of time.
Yes.
Like, I know I've been spending time with Adam 22 from No Jumper while I've been out here. And like his thing was, it was like Chicago drill really popped off in like 2012, 2013 when Chief Keef really first came out. But then after a few years, that gangster rap stuff kind of died down and it became like the SoundCloud rap era. Yes. You had people like XXX Tentacion's, Trippie Redd, Lil Pump, and that was what was the most popping thing in hip hop. We were talking like, I don't know, 2016.
Even Post Malone was coming
Post Malone came out through that era, like 2015 to maybe like 2018. But really, gangster rap came back in a big way around the King Von sort of times, 2018, 2019, when Von was really bringing that gangster Chicago sound back with his storytelling type raps. That it wasn't just him. You had people like Pop Smoke also bringing the kind of gangster street stuff back in New York. I'd say like 2018.
God, so good.
Yeah, man, such a loss when he passed, because he would have been huge. But gangster rap came back in a big way during that time, and I feel like that. I wasn't chasing that type of content, but it just got to the bit where you couldn't ignore it. Like the biggest artists out that you were talking about, whether it was Durk or Pop Smoke or whatever, they were in gangs, and gangs was a big part of their music, so you couldn't ignore it. And then the content just kind of evolved. We had the guys like Young and Ace with the Who I Smoke song. Don't know if you guys were that into that, but like that was a whole big thing. And then I did a video breaking down like the Jacksonville rappers and their gang politics and stuff there. And it's just
gang politics.
Yeah, just kind of like how deep there's. Every city's got a different set of gang politics. Every city's got a different set of gangs, and there's always some rappers in each side of the gang war. There's always some songs going back and forth and sort of breaking it down. And I feel like that's just where hip hop's ended up at these days. Like gangster rap came back in such a big way, and now every city's got a gang culture that the music sort of is circulating around.
Well, it kind of felt inevitable too, because like I was an enormous old school hip hop guy growing up. I mean, that's my favorite artist of all time is Pac, right? So I came up on that stuff like, it was before my time, but I had a kid who moved in across the street from me when I was in 6th grade. He was 4 years older than me. He was a hippie from California, and his eclectic music taste was across the board. It was everything from Buffalo Springfield, Rolling Stones, to Bob Marley, Tupac, Nas, Biggie. Like, he was incredible. So he really opened up my world. Shout out Kyle. But, I remember myself getting really into the history, studying that, because you had this whole East West beef and whatever, and you've seen, as you just laid out there really well, the eras of rap based on kind of what goes mainstream has changed so many times since then. But it always it's like a cycle. It always ends up coming back to some sort of the gangster culture. And then, not to be cynical, but you see some of the guys who are pulling the business strings, so to speak, on this stuff over the years, and they last. And it feels like it's kind of inevitable. And of course, I mean, the 500-pound elephant in the room is Diddy. The guy's been around since like 93, 94, somewhere in there, starting Bad Boy Records when he literally came out of nowhere working for Clive Owen.
How did he get those connections, man? How did he get that going? So he was a nobody. Suddenly he's running shit.
Are you making a doc on this?
I want to do it soon. I want to do it eventually. A lot of people are kind of piling in with the Diddy documentary stuff at the moment.
We need you to make one.
I want to do it, but also I know that it's going to be really deep and long and complex, and I'm kind of waiting. He's not been charged with anything yet. Right. Sometimes I find it's timing so important with these documentaries, and it's I know a lot of people have done really well making the Diddy documentary, and I respect that, and there's been some really good videos about him. But I'm waiting for something deeper to happen. All of his homes have been raided. I'm waiting for the charge. Where's the charger? I need some paperwork to read so I really know what's going on.
Do you think they're coming? The charges?
I think so. I mean, look at the raid was serious. That was a serious raid. It wasn't we're just going to have a little sweep of your apartment. They're serious, and they're not just doing that because they just felt like it, because they had a feeling. I personally, I think the timing's very interesting, man. Just with Keef D, with the whole Tupac murder charge. People say Biggie put up $1 million for the hit and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting that guy got locked. Maybe he's going to flip on Diddy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen, obviously, I'm sure, the Vlad interview they did with him, where, I mean, he's borderline bragging about it. And I had heard years ago from someone really good, I'll just leave it at that Diddy was behind that.
Yeah, and there's been a few people have said that. That's made its way into a few lyrics over the years. The question mark was always, the story goes that Diddy put up $1 million for the hit, but then the money never ended up getting paid. And a lot of people talked that saved Diddy. The money not going to the person who did the hit saved Diddy. I don't think that's how the justice system works, bro. I think if you put a hit on somebody for $1 million and they do it and then you don't pay up, I don't think that means you're scot-free. So,
well, he never paid, so it's cool.
Yeah, the FBI just
you're free to go.
he didn't pick up the check for the hit, so we just got to let it slide. Damn, he loophole. No, I think I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Keef D was flipping on Diddy and then this was all wrapped up. But then there's the whole Cassie situation, and I'm waiting for just a little bit more of consolidated info on the case before I cover it. But also I got a bunch of stories. My difficult thing is I do these 2-3 hour docs. It takes a month or two to put them together. I can't, if something's popping off in the news, I can't just jump on it and make a quick video. I got to turn the whole ship around, spend a month or two, decide what that topic of that video is going to be, go deep into the research. So it's not easy for me to just turn around and just be like, fuck it, let's just do Diddy now. But I'm waiting for some real big info on it to come so that I can tell the full story. Because again, we were trying to do the YNW Melly case, which obviously has been big news, the YNW Melly double murder case. We were working on that.
That's back in court now again, right?
It's just been really slow. He waived his right to a speedy trial, which I probably ain't really a great sign, to be honest. But the case before, we were trying to put together the documentary in time for the case to be finished, but then it was declared a mistrial, so it got put on the back burner. Now Melly's saying he's waiving his right to a speedy trial, so who knows how long that could take. But I don't want to cover it until the verdict is out there, because at the end of the day, every month someone's doing a new YNW Melly video and there's no new info, so there's nothing really to say.
Right.
So I'm waiting for the verdict, and then we're going to go back and get all of the information and lay it all out so you know exactly what happened. But now there's no point.
Well, have you read the Diddy lawsuits?
Not all of them, but I've watched a few breakdowns, and it's looking crazy.
Dude.
The Cassie
what do you think it was?
When you say, what do you mean?
Because there's so much we don't know right now, but do you think there's something deeper to this? I mean, this one is so bad. Usually when you see these things, I mean, not that you've seen a lot like this, but usually when you see accusations and whatever, it's just someone's a scumbag, they're bad, whatever. This guy, this feels very intelly to me. Very, very intelly. The cameras everywhere, I don't know what your beat is, but
This is all just my opinion.
Yep.
I'm not trying to catch a lawsuit from Diddy.
There you
this
go.
This is all my opinion. I don't know what the hell I'm talking. I'm just a hip hop historian. I don't know what I'm talking about. But seems like what was going on was he was on some Jeffrey Epstein type shit,
Yes.
but the gay way.
Yeah. Well, he went every way, right? Kind of.
I mean, there was some stuff in that lawsuit talking about he was bringing the guys in to smash his girl, and he was filming it and watching it and putting on a show for people. They're saying that he was, the one of the documentaries that I seen, once again, this is just my opinion of some shit that I seen on YouTube, but that I hear people saying was that he was basically groomed by an older executive in the industry,
Clive,
to do some,
Clive,
I think, is that the guy?
Yeah, Clive. Does.
To do some funny stuff, and then that had sort of been like this sort of system where you've got executives doing funny stuff to young guys, and then they're keeping a secret, and then they're giving them opportunities in the industry. And people say that Diddy took that model and was doing that to other people. They're saying he was doing that to Usher and Meek Mill, some crazy shit. He was using this as like a whole control mechanism for running in the industry. But that's the crazy thing, because there'd been the rumor that Diddy was gay for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But it seems like actually that's a grossly inaccurate way of describing the extent of like what he allegedly was involved in. But again, I'm waiting for a little more consolidated info to come out, because there's a lot of speculation and like
a lot of speculation.
I don't know. People saying the Meek Mill thing, man. It's hard to believe that Meek Mill and Diddy were freaking off like that.
No, but it was. Did you see Andrew Schultz's stand up on?
Oh yeah,
on Meek
I
Mill?
did see a little piece
where
of
he's
that.
like,
Yeah.
"We believe you, bro.
Yeah,
but you're doing a really bad job of telling us."
He's doing too much, man. He's doing too much.
He's like, "I'm so not gay. I'm so not gay. I love pussy. I love pussy." It's like, all right, dude.
Yeah,
all right,
bro.
We get it.
Meek Mill's been on some funny stuff for a minute, man. I don't know.
I mean, do you think part of it is like he kind of feels a little bit nomadic in the last couple of years? Like his music doesn't have the same direction. Like it's almost like the years and years of his criminal case, going through the system that was really fucked up, like almost took a lot of energy out of him.
Man, I feel like that's a very generous way of putting it. I feel like Meek just ain't been putting out good music for a minute. And like, that's why the Diddy thing's so crazy, because it's like, I've always thought, how has Meek managed to stay so rich? Because he's always flexing new money, new jets, new planes, new cars. The music ain't never really hitting like that. So I've always wondered just like, how's he still on? I don't know. The Diddy thing kind of was sort of giving a explanation as to how this guy managed to stay on top without releasing music. But at the same time, I'm not sure I believe the Diddy thing. But like, I'll be honest, like, I've never been the hugest fan of Meek Mill's music. Like, back in the day, like, championships kind of era, Meek's music was slapping.
Yeah.
But, like, past few years, he ain't really had anything. Like, he's been dining out on that one song, like, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished? Like, been dining on that song for years.
Anthem in Philly.
It's a banger. It's a banger. And Meek Mill's got songs in his catalog that are hard. But, like, he's one of these rappers that in the past few years has been more known for his antics and the weird shit around him rather than his music. I'm a good friend with DJ Academics, and he goes to war with Meek on a regular basis. So it's a hard one as far as Meek. Like, I don't know, maybe the Diddy situation is what kept Meek in the headlines. I don't know, but Meek's not necessarily my favorite. So.
But that's also the problem with these types of stories. We, the public, all of us, we start running with things before we know anything. And to your point, that's why I respect you wanting to see some more things play out before making some, because, someone will show a video and then say, yep, you know what? Justin Bieber definitely got diddled too. Maybe, but like, we don't know. We don't know what's going on. And obviously, like you said, it's really sinister shit in that lawsuit. They are, I guess, just accusations or whatever, but a lot of these, maybe not quite as bad as what we saw in the lawsuit in the detail, but a lot of the little rumors on things around Diddy, whether it be street violence, whether it be, being in the closet and doing weird stuff with guys and whatever, this is not new. This is stuff that's been floating around for a long time. But why do you think it's just like he's so, I'm forgetting like an intel angle or something right now, like the Epstein type idea. Do you think it's just like he's so powerful in the industry that not only do people powerful people know to shut up and never say anything in the past, but they also feel like they have to go to his parties when he has them?
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt like they had to go to a Diddy party. Like, I ain't gonna front. If I got invited to the Diddy party, I might still go and just wear a wire and scope that shit out. But I don't know what's going on at those parties, man. It's crazy. But I think with Diddy, man, it's just a case of if you're on some weird shit like this, you can't keep it a secret forever. Look at someone like Harvey Weinstein. That guy was doing all sorts of madness in the industry for years. It was like he's never going to get caught. He was sliding forever. You can't hide if you're doing awful stuff like that. Shit's evil. Like Harvey Weinstein, predatory, evil shit. The stuff they're accusing Diddy of, if it's true, you can't keep that. You can't keep that secret forever. People are eventually. You can't affect so many people negatively and bring harm to their lives, and just get away with it forever. You know, whether it's Cosby, Epstein. That shit gets out eventually. So I feel like this Diddy thing is just on a long enough timeline, it's all going to come out. Yeah. And that's why I'm waiting, because I know that if it's the real deal, 6 months, maybe a federal case drops, we're going to find out everything. So I'm waiting for that info to drop. But you can't, if he's really like, bro, there's no, I don't know, man. I want to just say there's no smoke without fire. All the shit they've been saying about Diddy for years, now this lawsuit stuff's dropping. I don't really see a route to anyone turning around to being like, oh, the Diddy thing was all fake and you all owe him an apology. Like, bro, look at what's there. I don't know. But like I say, I'm waiting for more paperwork to drop. So I don't know. But it seems like he was doing some crazy shit and everyone knew about it for years.
All these guys that you just mentioned, be it Epstein, Diddy, Cosby, whatever, they all had a long period of time pre-social media where they were doing this.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Like, they weren't sitting there in 93, 96 realizing, you know, that some lady in fucking Iowa can hit upload in 15 years from now or something, or put their opinion out in the comment section. And so these powerful people cultivate these ideas behind these doors of silence. And now, you know, the doors are blown open in this era. And, you know, the best example is guys like you who can then go fuck a studio, fuck anything else. Like, you're going to go make your own content, hit the upload button, and millions of people are going to watch it because it's put together, it's researched well. And I want to talk with you about this, but you also have access to the internet to do a lot of your research from, you know, sitting in the UK doing research on wherever this stuff's happening.
Yeah, man. It's an interesting time. You know, this is definitely something I want to get into because I feel like your platform is a good place to get into this stuff because my side of the internet knows about this already. But you'd be amazed how much information you can get on the internet if you know what you're doing. Like, my whole thing really, like, I've got a deep knowledge of hip hop history. I know what's going on way more than the average person. But it's partly because of my love of hip hop, but it's also partly because, like, I'm a G when it comes to using Google and Reddit. Like, I'll find anything.
Yeah.
Like, I know where that info is hidden away. If someone's deleted a page, I'm going to find an archive of that page. I'm going to find someone's deleted a video, some crazy shit's happened, and they're trying to take the video down. I'm going to find a backup. I know all the tricks and cheat codes to find shit hidden away on the internet. Whether it's the rap is just the area of interest that I'm interested in. But it's like there's a million subreddits on, like I was telling Gene, like I was saying, I was with Gene Borello the other day. I was explaining to him, I was like, bro, you know about the Mafia subreddit? And he was like, no. And I was like, bro, let me show you the Mafia subreddit where they're talking about you. Like, anytime you're exposing one of the other guys, they're in there talking about it. And he's like, really? And I'm like, bro, showing him pictures of himself in the Mafia subreddit, being like, bro, this is them talking about you on there. And like every gang, every area of hip hop, there's a subreddit, you know, there's a subreddit for No Jumper, and they're talking about everything that's going on with Adam's show. So it's like there's these little hidden communities hidden away on the internet that know everything that's going on, and I'll be tapping into all these different places, finding information for videos. But it gets deep, man. There's a lot of, you know, that's my thing, man. I'm just Google master with it.
And that's where it sounds like that's where all the research starts, pretty much.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing between Google and Reddit and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. You can lay all that shit together, you know.
Yeah, and it's tough sometimes to synthesize it because that's the other thing. We have so much information overload now that we also have to then make calls and I deal with this in my job too, just like you in a different way. But like, you know, all right, what seems like gossip or like fake internet accounts talking about something versus maybe that's real right there. Like, how do you make those calls? Is that just kind of judgment, gut decision?
My thing is like I'm not ready to believe something until I've seen a couple sources for it. So for example, like if we're talking about a murder in Chicago, you know, we're gonna find the Chiraqology subreddit, which is like the hub for Chiraqology. If you don't know about this, I'm about to educate you guys, man.
Let's go.
You're gonna love this.
Chiraqology
if you guys don't know about
subreddit.
This,
let's go.
Yeah, anybody that knows MySpace, you'll know all this. But if you're not into this, you're gonna have your mind blown. So when it comes to the Chicago gang drill community, Chiraqology on Reddit is where all of that activity is going on. So anytime somebody gets shot in Chicago, and a Chicago drill rapper, anyone connected to that, This isn't live, is it? You guys aren't going out live?
No.
Because sometimes with this stuff, you'll scroll through here and you might see see a dead body.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes if I'm on live and I'm reacting to stuff on here,
I'm like, oh,
so
demonetized.
go back to the top and change. See where it says hot.
Hot.
Down.
Hot. Yeah.
Put it to like top this month.
Okay.
So look, this is everything that's going on, right? They're following everything to do with the Chicago drill community. Anything in the streets with the drill rap, gang rap in Chicago, they're keeping up with anything. So in this, but it's not all negative stuff. Look, that one's an interesting one. But they're talking about okay, this one's a negative one. This is Tay Savage at a party and someone starts shooting, right?
Oh.
But the whole subreddit, anything that goes off, anything that pops off, is all going on in here. They're taking throwback tweets. Look, that tweet. So you see the tweet? Scroll back up. Yep. Like that tweet is Chief Keef's reaction to Lil Jojo getting killed. Again, if you don't know the whole story,
we gotta blur that when we put this live, Alessi. But go ahead. Yep.
You got to blur the N-word.
Yep. We gotta blur that.
Yeah, I don't want to create too many problems because there's a lot of stuff in here you won't be able to show.
Right.
But it's just this place. This is where anything is going. Like this is Front Street for anything going on in the streets of Chicago.
And who do you think's posting this? Like people who are literally in it?
It's a mixture between people that are in it, people that are super fans that just are obsessed and follow everything that's going on and they know everything. But for example, like if you keep scrolling, there'll be kind of say anyone actually tell you what, go back up. Like you see that one of this is the shooting with Tay Savage, right? If you go to the comments on that post, there's going to be a bunch of theories about who was responsible, who was there, what was going on.
Yes, I'm over 18.
Yeah. Like now you go into the comments. And it's going to be all different people.
Drop the blunt.
But it's, you know what I mean? So I'm going to be on here. Anything that goes on, I'm going to be here. Then I'm going to be in the comments. And I'm usually, if it's a murder or a shooting, there's usually a couple comments to be like, oh, it was these guys, it was this, it was that, right? And I'm not just going to put that out there, but that's a lead for me to go, okay, well, let me look into a little bit more. If they're saying in the comments it's this guy or this gang that's responsible, I can go and look into their social media, see what's going on, see if it corroborates.
Into their social.
I can go listen to their songs and see if there's any lyrics where they're saying that they're claiming that this thing has happened that like we thought. But again, this is the hub, right? But every community, there's one of these for the New York drill scene. There's one of these for the UK drill scene. This is the Chicago drill scene. There's a mob subreddit. This is just one of many sources for this information. But this was crazy. This was crazy news for the last month.
Yeah. So you're an internet god pretty much, and you're going in there, and then how do you like? Even when you make a 3.5-hour documentary like the King Von one, I can imagine. As far as things that could go into that script, you probably have 60 hours worth of stuff you could put in there. Maybe not that much, but you know what I mean? Like a lot more than 3.5 hours. Yeah. How do you synthesize it down to get it? Because like when your final products, they tie together perfectly. Yeah, so you're really good at figuring out like, okay, this is exactly what we need and it's going to get everything we need in there.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's just my own writing process, my storytelling process. We'll create a script or a kind of timeline. It's like a research timeline where we'll find anything. Say we're on there, Chiraqology. There's a shooting that happens. Okay, that shooting happened on the 12th of June, 2020. We'll put that in the document. It's a chronological timeline of everything that happened, right? But then once I've kind of got all of the facts, got all the information that's there, I'll then write that up into a narrative that I think makes sense and helps is the way that people are going to understand the story the most clearly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's like, I'll write that and I might find big chunks of information. I'm like, you know what, this doesn't fit or this isn't relevant. Let me put that. That'll go on the cutting room floor. That'll go at the end of the document separate of like that piece of information wasn't relevant. So that didn't make it in.
Are you still your only writer?
I'm the main writer. I have 2 researchers that help me, but it's like
that's pretty amazing. Though.
The words that end up in the video, that's me. Like they'll help me find stuff. Like the way that we work now is it's kind of like I decide all the stories and all the narrative and exactly what every story is going to be and how it's going to go. But for example, I might have those guys go ahead. Like for example, we're doing a story in a few months' time about this gangster rapper from India. This one's kind of like a slightly different. Like
from India?
Indian.
This is new.
This guy's the Indian Tupac. That's what they say. For real. They got the Indian Tupac,
What's
man.
his name?
Sidhu Moosewala.
Sidhu Moosewala.
He's popping.
Let's try to pull that up. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, so like we're doing that, and so like I got one of my guys on my team. Like I've kind of laid out how I want the structure of that story to go and the things that I want to touch on, and I know his story. But like, I got one of my researchers now. He's out just he's translating songs and he's finding lyrics and stuff like that. And it's like we're all doing a different thing. So it's like, I'll build a narrative, build a story. I might go and watch a bunch of IG lives and go on Reddit. But
he's dead?
He's dead. Yeah, he passed away. Yeah, he was killed, assassinated.
R.I.P.
The crazy thing about him is it's like he was like one of the first rappers out of India doing this kind of drill gangster thing. He'd been involved in the streets in India, and he ended up becoming really big, really famous. He was trying to get into politics, and they didn't like that.
Oh.
And so he was trying to get political.
Oh,
ended up getting assassinated.
This could be like some back office assassination.
In
shit.
India, yeah, he was getting too big, and they ended up assassinating him, and it all gets.
When you
super
say
deep.
they, who do you think it was?
Well, there
Who's
was
the research saying it was.
There's an organization that claimed responsibility for it. But the crazy thing about India is it's like there's sort of this overlap between the streets and the politics, where it's like you got these guys from sort of different communities in India trying to become the representative for their area. He was trying to get into politics because he had all of this clout in rap, and they ended up not really liking it. And there was a whole thing where he was already into politics, so he had a security detail, and then he was trying to sort of get deeper into politics, and the government didn't like it, so they like got rid of his security clearances. So he had like. No, then he couldn't roll with security, and then he was outside, and they shot up his car and ended up getting killed. But It's a deep story. This is something we're working on, so this ain't dropping for a few months. But again, just goes to show you this stuff's going on in every country, every city. Even in India, you got a drill rapper that's coming up and getting assassinated. You know, but it happens everywhere. You know, I just did a video about the sort of gangster rap street scene in Sweden. And they got gangsters, they got gangster rappers, they're dissing each other, making songs about each other, people getting killed.
Like white boys and stuff?
A lot of like guys that are Middle Eastern immigrants or like second generation Middle Eastern from over there. You got like Syrians and Libyans and Somalis. It's interesting, you know. You have this in every country, but every city, it's a different flavor. Maybe it's a different group, different sort of racial makeup of people in that area, if you get what I'm saying. Like I did a big story about gangster rappers in London, and a lot of those guys are like Somalian. It's like there's like a gang, famous gang, like the Camden Marleys, and like the Somalians. There's sort of like a Somali gang that would beef with another gang in London. But again, it's sort of like they might be second generation in the country. They're sort of, you know, Londoners by culture, but then they've got these sort of ties, these Somalian ties, and that's how that gang sort of all stick together, the Somalians against these other people. But again, it's sort of like there's the actual streets gang connections that sit above the rap connections, and then these guys are making songs about each other, going to war with each other. But it's just crazy how this culture, you see it in every city, whether it's Chicago or Jacksonville or India or London. The pattern of gangster rap and the gang music kind of being used to diss each other, and it's a layer removed from the actual gang violence. It's really fascinating, and that's why I love what I do, because looking into the gang situation in India and being like, yo, this is similar to Chicago, but it's a little more political, and it's a completely different group of people, and they're from a completely different background, but they're going through the same issues. Like in a lot of ways, what I do is almost like I study conflicts, you know, in different areas, but every city's got a conflict, and then there's music around it, and there's sort of similarities and differences.
So fascinating. It's so fascinating that music's at the middle of that. And so I obviously, like, it's fascinating to you. You're covering it, but does it ever make you sad too that it's like endless cycles in all these places? Yeah,
man. You know, this kind of work, like I try and make people understand, like, this really affects me. You know, this isn't a laugh. Like, I'm not just like in Chiraqology, just having fun, seeing people get shot. Like, it's funny. Like, this stuff really affects me. And there's a lot of artists that I've covered where, you know, the footage of the murder is online. You know, FBG Duck, obviously, he was a rapper that, you know, I liked his music. I really liked FBG Duck. I liked his stuff.
And that was a guy, King Von.
He was the biggest, he was the guy that's beefing with King Von, right? And, you know, King Von's crew killed him. And, you know, they say Von put up the money for that murder to happen. And then, you know, that case ended up happening, and, you know, the guys that did it, Von was dead by that point, but I think Von would have been wrapped up in that case if he was alive. But, you know, I was a fan of Duck. And, you know, I was just talking to DJ Vlad. I did an interview with him the other day, and he did an interview with Duck, and he was friendly with Duck, and he told Duck to move out of Chicago, and Duck wasn't trying to hear it. And Duck gets killed in Chicago, and it's like, this stuff affects me, man, because these are artists that I listen to and I really enjoy. You know, the footage of the Duck murder became public after the case finished. And it was sad, man, seeing that footage of Duck getting killed. You know, he went from being alive on the street to just being dead on the floor within seconds. You know, it's really tragic stuff. And seeing those videos, they affect me, man. You know, that stuff really sticks with me, and it makes me sad. And you know, sometimes it's like, it breaks my heart when you see a young guy from Chicago that's like Duck. He'd been involved in the streets. He'd been come out of one of the most dangerous and serious situations that you could imagine a young man coming up through, and he had all the opportunities to change his life and get out of Chicago, and he didn't in time. And then you know, I'm just seeing that footage of him being killed and laying there dead, and it's just, honestly, it breaks my heart, man, and it does affect me on a deep level, because I want to see all these young guys win, man. I don't want to see people die. People that are talented, young artists coming up that have their whole lives ahead of them. You know, it's not something I can ever change, but I just wish there was something that I could do, or some way that I could help in a way that just, I mean, I try and cover these stories responsibly, and I try and, if you watch what I do, a lot of people don't really catch this, but like, I'll always try and get to the root cause of like, well, why are things so bad in this neighborhood? Like, what are the historical, you know, socio-economic circumstances that have made Chicago so violent? I'm not somebody who sits around saying, you know, rappers are just violent and they just want to kill each other because they're bad guys. Like, a lot of these guys are victims of circumstance, being placed in these kill or be killed situations. And I've said it in videos before of just like, look, it's tragic being on either side of the gun. If you get shot and killed in the streets because of a song you made or because you're involved in the wrong gang, that's fucked up. But so is you're a young guy that kills somebody because you've got this broken mindset that you're kill to survive in the streets, and you feel like you've got to kill someone or they're going to kill you, and then you're going to jail for 50 years. That's tragic too. That you've lost your life too, because all the guys that were involved in the hit on FBG Duck, a lot of them have kids, a lot of them have families. You know, they're gone, and that's tragic. They were born into that situation. I'm lucky enough that I wasn't born into a gang stronghold, a gang situation. I don't have to. Realistically, I know I don't have to have those worries. I've not had to worry my whole life of stepping out my front door and somebody going to kill me, right? So I try and put myself in those shoes and just try and empathize. But, you know, this stuff does affect me deeply, man. And sometimes, you know, it does. I've felt depressed before when I find out an artist that I've been enjoying their music has been killed. You know, and that, I mean, I just remember where I was when I found out Pop Smoke had died, or even King Von, but I remember where I was when I found out Pop Smoke had died. And at the time, he was my favorite artist. He was the guy I was listening to the most. And I felt like, I was like, this guy's going to be a star.
He was 20 years old too, right?
It just broke my heart, man, that he just lost so young. And like, he was one of them ones. He was about to be huge. He was changing his life. He was getting out of the streets.
Yes.
And so to see that and to see what happened, just completely senseless, the way that he died. It wasn't anything to do with his beef. Yeah. It's messed up, man. It's just the last thing that I want to see. So, you know, I want people to understand, like, this isn't just fun content for me. Like, I know these are real people, real circumstances, like real consequences. And, man, I wish there was something I could do to change it. But I'm not in a position to change these things. You know, it's bigger than me.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep saying this line, but Tommy G, when he was in here, had such a great line that I love where he's like, look, you can't boil the ocean, but you can boil your pot. And that's so true, and it's great to hear that a guy like you seems to have that perspective too. But it's tough because like you want to hold the world on your shoulders when you know you get to meet a lot of these guys too, and just be like, come on, like can't you see this? But there's something very strange in human psychology where when it comes to like think like more masculine, you know, basic animal masculine forces we have where we can have people who come from something that's hard.
Yeah.
Do all the right things to get out of that situation, go somewhere where they don't have to live that. But something pulls them back to be like, ooh, I'm not going to have the respect if I leave that because the people who are still there, which I was trying to get away from, there's something that like makes us have to feel like we still have cred with them in that case. And like, I'll be goddamned if I try to sit here and explain that I know what that's like. I don't. You know, I grew up, I'm a middle-class dude in America, like upper middle-class dude in America. Like I grew up great. So I didn't have that kind of, you know, like, oh, you switched up pressure. But it's very hard for some people to understand that that culture could exist because then they just see the end result, which is like gang violence, people shooting each other and stuff. And they're like, oh, fuck this. Like these people are crazy. Obviously all that's wrong, but I mean, who am I to judge how they feel among their peers?
Yeah, it's difficult. Like you say, like I'm not from that background, so I'm not going to pretend I understand. Like I know what that's like, what these young guys are going through that are involved in these gangs. But I just try and empathize and put myself in those shoes. But there are, you know, I see other channels that have this very unempathetic approach to things where they're like, yeah, this guy's dumb. These, you know, I've seen channels or videos and it's like, yeah, this guy's, you know, I'm not trying to call out anyone specifically, but it's like, you know, they'd be like, yeah, the dumbest criminal ever or whatever, you know, and it's just like, bro, you need to have some empathy. Like some of these guys that are crashing out, you know, it's like, oh, a guy jumped on Instagram Live and shot his op and he crashed out. Or like K Flock, they, you know, say, yeah, he caught a body in broad daylight in a designer drip. Yeah. Like he's dumb. And on the one hand, yeah, it's pretty dumb to catch a body in a designer fit. But on the other hand, I try and empathize with what he's going through. He's walking around in his nice outfit and he doesn't know who's trying to kill him. And he's unfortunately, he's a young guy, he's 19, he's on edge and he's just shooting somebody because he thinks they're going to kill him. Now that is pretty dumb. But at the same time, if you have the empathy, it's not because it's like what he's going through. He's just on now. He's had nothing. He's walking around in his designer fit and somebody's approaching him and he's feeling in danger of his life.
How old was he again when that happened?
I think maybe he was 18 or 19 when it
17,
happened.
18, something like that.
Super young. He's been in there for like a year, maybe 2 years now.
Yeah, he's got like a 50-year sentence or something?
I don't think he's got a sentence yet. I think he's waiting for trial. Okay. But it's not looking good, basically. And it's New York. You know, you can't be having a gun in New York and stuff. But like, what I'm trying to say is, like, I try and have that empathy. I try not to look at that as like, yeah, this is the Bronx's dumbest shooter. But at the same time, it's like, bro, what he's going through is tough, you know. And he does literally have people trying to kill him. And he is now one of the at the time he was probably the most famous guy coming out of the Bronx, right? So it's like, I got sympathy for that situation. He's rolling around. He's become this known face card in the Bronx, and everyone's trying to kill him. Of course, he's always going to be on edge. And unfortunately, that day, that guy approached him, and he was felt in danger for his life, and he opened fire. And now he's going to have to face justice, and the courts are going to decide whether or not that was okay. But it's, I think it's messed up when people do that, when they're like, "Oh, this guy's a crash dummy. He's crashed out, and he's ruined his life, and he's an idiot, dumb criminal." It's like, bro, have some empathy, man. Like, I don't think people are just one or two people are dumb criminals that are just crashing out. But like a lot of these guys, they're dealing with a situation that, like, if you put yourself in those shoes, you might have found yourself behaving similarly.
I mean, I was an idiot when I was 18. I was an idiot when I was 24. Right now, put yourself in that socioeconomic situation, the people you're around, what other people respond to that you may try to play to. Yeah, dumb shit can happen. I agree with you. I think that, you know, my issue with this stuff is the patterns that we as a society gotta like figure out here. You know, I love studying history. One of the things I've started looking at right now, I got to get deeper into it, but I've really started studying was like the Reconstruction period, right, post Civil War, and you know, I look at it not just from a black-white perspective. I look at this from beyond that, like years and years later, from a socioeconomic perspective, because at the time, the freed black slaves represented the lowest socioeconomic situation you could be in. But, you know, you look at Abraham Lincoln getting killed in 1865, the reverberations of that were insane because his successor, Andrew Johnson, basically took his Reconstruction plans and went, crumpled it up and threw it away. And so there were things like, you know, they were going to give land to freed slaves and whatever. And he said, no, fuck that. We're not doing that. And it created this almost like free rush right afterwards just to try to pay your bills. And so what ended up happening is fast forward years later where we have hundreds of races or whatever within this country where some are socioeconomically powerful, others aren't, you know, depending on when they came here, what they came here with, what opportunities that they had from their culture to monetize here, whatever it meant, wherever the chips may fall. And you see how we create these cycles to where people are born into situations, in this case, like in some of the genre you're looking at in American rap, if you will, you know, these are guys who are born into poverty-stricken situations, usually with maybe one parent at home. You know, we've done a bad job with our education systems in the inner cities, so maybe they're not even in school by the time they're in 8th grade. So they don't have much else to go on. Now they have access to the internet at least, so they can see their heroes who maybe have a similar socioeconomic background that they do, and then they respond to the culture that those guys may glorify in that way. And I think about that a lot because, like, I love some of this music, right? And I also empathize with where the basis of it comes from. But I'm also wondering, like, all right, how much are we going to continue to, you know, even as someone who's listened to this his whole life, like how much are we going to continue to maybe accidentally glorify all this? Because so many of these guys could be so successful at so many other things because, like, you know, you look at some of these rappers that come up. I mean, look at Jay-Z, prime example. These guys are not stupid, I'm sure there's a few that are stupid, but you know what I mean? Like, there's some dudes who, like, if they were put in the right situation to make the right moves, like, they could be fucking billionaires. How do we more glorify that?
You touched on so many interesting things there. I got so many points that I'm trying to hit, but
Go for it.
We'll go all the way back to the first thing you said about like Lincoln. You know, the crazy thing that I found, like I was doing a story the other day, and I was doing my research about kind of like the culture in the American Civil War, and both sides of the Civil War, they were making songs. You know, you'd have a marching band, and they would make songs to get the troops charged up to go into battle, right? And it's just so interesting how, you know, there would be like diss songs, like there would be like abolitionist songs that were going at the other side, right? And they would march in playing these songs. And it's so interesting, like how I've covered this. Like I said, it's almost like conflict research. Music has always been a part of conflict. Like you would have marching bands and you would have these songs that were being played. You know, in my Young Boy video, I kind of talk a little bit about how in the Civil War, both sides, they were making songs about each other. So music and art and this kind of communication method has always been part of conflict, and it trickles all the way down to these gang wars. You've got gangs, you've got the BDs and the GDs, or the Bloods and the Crips, and they're making diss songs and they're rapping about each other, and these songs are getting each other hyped up to go into battle.
Hey guys, if you have a second, please be sure to share this episode around on social media and with your friends, whether it's Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. It's all a huge help. It gets new eyeballs on the show, and it allows us to grow and survive. So thank you to all of you who have already been doing that, and thank you to all of you who are going to do so now.
You got these guys in the Bronx, they're making songs and they're sliding to their own music. And it's interesting. Again, it's this whole thing of people want to be like, oh, black music's violent and, you know, gangster rap's so bad. Like that's what a lot of these, like, you know, I don't know, maybe like articles, very closed-minded, very ignorant articles, might do. And they do it in the UK. They're trying to ban the music. They're saying drill music's making kids violent. But it's like violence has always been a part of history. Conflict has always been a part of history. And so has like music and art around conflict. And the idea that they're blaming that community and the music for what's going on, I think is so wrong. And back to what you were saying a minute ago, I think it's really important to remember, and I try and put this into my documentaries, that like, you know, if we're talking about gangster rap, you know, rap is a black genre of music. It's an African-American dominated genre of music, even though other people do it. And I feel like there's so much oppression. So much of what rap music is about speaking up to oppression and talking about your experiences. You know, gangster rap, when it first emerged in the 80s in Los Angeles, you got people like Schoolie D, Ice-T, NWA. Those first gangster rap songs weren't about being gangsters. They were about the consequences of being identified as a gangster. NWA had songs "Fuck the Police," talking about police brutality. For the first time, they were creating a window into, hey, we're the black community in LA, and this is how we're being treated by the police. Right. And fuck the police. And it's like the music has always been a representation of the kind of the negative way that the black community is being treated, right? And that's why it always bugs me when people are like, oh, drill music's so violent, they need to stop making that music. But that music's just a representation of what was going on. If you were a young guy growing up in 2012 in Chicago, you're making drill music about we're killing our ops and we're smoking people, and because that's what actually was going on. But that's not their fault. You know, I feel like the worst and most ignorant thing you see people saying is, you know, black people are violent, these gangster rappers, they're violent. But it's like, no, when you look at the socioeconomic situation in Chicago, these are people that have been the most marginalized, pushed together in these project buildings, being forced into situations where there's no opportunities in the hood. If you were growing up in one of these project buildings in the 80s in Chicago, there aren't opportunities for you. You know, the gangs, the Black Disciples, they run your block. That's your opportunity. That's what's going on. And if you trace gangs all the way back to their first origins, like if you look at groups like the Black Peace Stone Nation in Chicago, that, you know, these organizations that emerged in the 60s and 70s, these were community activist organizations that were organized to protect the black community from other groups that were going to cause them harm. So it's like this music and these gangs, the purpose for them existing is to protect the black people in the community. And it's unfortunate that over decades of underinvestment and underrepresentation in those communities, that it's like they've become a scapegoat for the circumstances that they had foisted upon them by the government, if you get what I'm saying.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Because it's the guys we're talking about are the guys who have attention, right? We're talking about guys who become big artists, and then they're rapping about this stuff so people know who they are. So, someone who wants to win some brownie points for a Tuesday in November can say, look at what this man here is saying, and look at what he's going. Well, what have you done about it? How have you helped this situation?
Well, when Chief Keef first came out, right, and he was making this gangster violent music in Chicago, gangster rap had always been a thing, but drill music in 2012 when Chief Keef first came out, that was the most violent type of rap music anyone had ever seen. But
I'm sorry to cut you off. For people out there who aren't who are listening, who aren't as familiar with the different genres of raps, can you just explain drill music just so they have a little background?
Yeah, drill music is like an ultra-violent offshoot of gangster rap that emerged in Chicago in 2012. So if I give you the full history of gangster rap, man, we go all the way back to probably 1985 in Los Angeles when gangster rap first came about, and you had people like Schoolie D, Ice-T, NWA making songs about their experience in Los Angeles in the streets. And I think one of the first gangster rap songs was the Batter-Ram, and it was all about how the LAPD would use these battering rams to smash in your door and, turn over your crib. And so the music was about police brutality and the experience of being a gangster in LA, right? But over the years, gangster rap's kind of evolved, and you've had really big people. Obviously, there's been a lot of gangster rappers out in New York. People like 50 Cent he was living that life, and he got shot 9 times, but he survived it. But things were always kind of ambiguous. It was always just about what was going on. It wasn't necessarily about, 50 Cent's got this famous lyric where he says, about the guy that shot him 9 times. He says, he got hit like I got hit, but he ain't fucking breathing, right? And so it's like, what he's saying is the guy that shot me is dead. We killed the guy that shot me. Yeah, but
don't worry about
it's ambiguous, right? Whereas nowadays with Chicago, it's like, we shot Steve at this address, and now we're smoking him, and we smoked him. And so it was around 2012 when it's like Chief Keef, the guy that really started drill is a guy called Pac-Man, but Chief Keef was one of the first people to popularize this ultra-violent, ultra-specific type of gangster rap from Chicago. And then over the years, a lot of other places like Brooklyn and the UK, they've kind of borrowed this sound. It was like an evolution of trap rap from Atlanta. So after someone like 50 Cent in New York, he's getting shot 9 times and he's telling that story. Trap music kind of emerged from Atlanta. It wasn't about violence, it was about selling drugs. So you had people like T.I., Gucci Mane, Young Jeezy talking about trapping and selling drugs, and people like the Migos, they're talking about being in the bando in abandoned houses selling drugs. And again, it's all just a representation of what was going on in their community, the things that this group of people were forced to do to survive. At this point, it was selling drugs.
Yeah.
But trap music, that sort of sound of those kind of beats that people like Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy were using, it was sort of trap music that you could sort of hear it. You could listen to it in the club, you could dance to it, but it was also gangster and street. That evolved into drill music that was just very aggressive, very hard beats, and then all the lyrics are about real violence that's going on, real people, real situation, real names, that kind of thing.
You said at the outset of this conversation, the word you used several times, storytelling, right? And you were attracted to that in the music. They're telling the story of their experience, and that's what attracted me, right? You hear Reasonable Doubt for the first time, you listen to that album. I didn't grow up in Marcy Projects. I feel like I have some understanding. I can't fully understand. I wasn't there. But Jay-Z put that shit lyrically for me to get it. When I listen, I listen to every lyric Tupac has ever done 100 times over. I get his life. I get what it was about. Again, wasn't there. Can't fully understand it. But there's a part of him that how he became what he became, how that character was formed through, to borrow his words, the rose that grew out of concrete in a way. You understand that because these guys are putting it across. So what else would you have them do? You talked about music, that's amazing. The whole Civil War thing and war before that, where they're literally using music to diss each other. But you talk about music being always this concept at the middle of conflict or whatever. It's the concept at the middle of culture too. It tells it paints the picture of what's happening at the time. You could listen to some composition Mozart wrote. It's got no words to it, but some motherfuckers in wigs are sitting there and going, tally-ho, and it's everyone gets it. They're on the same page. So it's a powerful thing. But you're getting into this talk, we got into Silo talking about drill and how that was coming up in Chicago. And you're saying these guys are rapping about what they see. I mean, look at Brandon, our mutual friend Brandon Buckingham's video.
Yeah.
That's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you want them to do. And if they're going to express that through music, hey, maybe some of the things aren't themes you want people glorifying, but this is what they know.
Well, that's the crazy thing because it's happened in the UK and they try and do it here too. But you guys have got a bit more freedom than we have in the UK. But
What do you mean?
They try and ban. They've tried really hard to ban drill music in the UK. You know, they tried to ban it. The authorities, the government basically had this thing with YouTube where they could take down any drill music they wanted. Type in, I think it's called Operation Domain. There was like a police operation to basically take down as much drill music in the UK as possible. We ain't got the freedom of speech like you got, so a lot of songs got taken down. But this is the thing I try and say is the music is a representation of what's going on, and to the authorities, they need to they're trying to stop drill music because the drill music shows just how bad they've let communities become. Because at the end of the day, it's not Chief Keef's fault that 1 million people are getting killed every day on Chief Keef's block. He's making music, like you say, storytelling. He's showing a representation. Any of these will work. He's showing a representation of how bad things have gotten in society in his area in the south side of Chicago, and the government, they don't want people seeing that. Like the same thing with the UK, so they've been trying to censor drill music, and the way I see it is it's like the government and the police are doing such a bad job of keeping these communities safe. They don't want this music being out there because that's letting people know how bad that this stuff's getting.
Can we go to the Vice article, Alessi? That one looks like the most...
Yeah, so the Met Police is the sort of, the main police organization in London. They've had a whole thing where they basically have the back door to take stuff down on YouTube. And so if you're a big artist, because we don't have the freedom of speech like you have. So
but when you say back door, like they can block it like North Korea blocks stuff, well, China blocks stuff?
They send paperwork to YouTube, and YouTube have to do what they say. Basically, so there's a whole thing with freedom of speech where they had a Meta take down a bunch of videos by this rapper called Chinks. And he was like trying to fight it, but they were basically like, they were saying that the way that the police got Facebook to take down his music video was like beyond what the law would even allow. Like, and then they had to. I don't think it went to court, but they basically had some back and forth where Facebook like had to fight against the police to let this guy release his music on the platform, and Facebook were basically arguing like, you can't just pop up and tell us to just take down this artist because you don't like it. He's not even said anything. So the main thing that happens in the UK, right? If you hop on a freestyle and you diss somebody and you say, Big T is a bitch and we stabbed him and we're going to get him, that'll be down. The Met Police will take that down immediately. Whoa. But at the same time, if you make a song and you're talking about violence in your community in UK drill, but you don't say anyone's name, technically that should be allowed to stay up because the way they get you in the UK is if you diss a op by name, it's like incitement to violence, and they'll take that song down, and they'll be within their rights to take it down. But if you don't say any names and you just say, "Yo, we're out here doing stabbings and selling drugs and it's crazy," you've technically not broken any rules. But they still try and take those down. They still try and get them. And a lot of the artists that have been through these situations in the UK that are on probation, you got artists like Digger D, where because they're on probation, or we have it's called license, there'll be certain restrictions in the license. They'll be like, you can't make songs about these things or that things. Like I say, we don't have the freedom of speech like you guys have. But if you're on probation in the UK and you're a rapper, they'll be telling you, yo, you can't rap about these things. You're not allowed to talk about these things. You can't make a skit about these things. This area, you can't be seen in this area. All of these restrictions that they put on people, it's crazy. But that wouldn't slide here because I feel like you guys have got more freedom of speech. You can't be telling people what to say.
Well,
but they'll give them a list of things that they can't say and they can't talk about and take down their videos. It's messed up, man.
Well, let's. I want to respond to that. I want to read this article though that you were saying to pull up. So YouTube is this is from 2022. It was on Vice News, which I think isn't a thing anymore. But YouTube is working with Met Police to take down rapid drill videos. For London's rapid drill artists, releasing music is something that happens under the watchful eye of the Metropolitan Police, according to new data obtained by Freedom of Information laws. The London-based force referred 510 music videos to be taken down from YouTube in 2021. In 96.7% of cases, the clips were removed. Let's scroll down, Alessi.
And so the crazy thing about this that I think, right, you've got these young guys that are coming out of really difficult environments. The music's one of the only ways that they're able to make legit money and get out of these situations.
Yeah.
And the Met Police are coming in saying, we're going to take all your shit down. This is not an option for you. Find some other way of making money.
Whoa.
And that's pushing them back to behave in those ways that got them in trouble in the first place. So they really don't care about policing the communities that they're talking about. They just don't want people even talking about what's going on there.
That's right. Okay, this marks a significant increase in previous years. In 2020, there were 125 referrals made, resulting in 124 removals. A year prior to that, 110 were referred and 107 removed. The 2021 figures mark a year-on-year increase of almost 300%. A separate report from the New York Times puts the 2020 removal figure at 319, which still presents a significant 60% year-on-year increase. And there it is, all that stuff you just mentioned about Digga D and them trying to take it down.
So they've had artists be sentenced for performing. So the Skengdo and AM, a couple of really good rappers out of South London, they were given a suspended sentence for performing a song. So
they were literally in court given suspended sentences for performing
a song. Yeah, because they'd been banned. They basically were banned from performing this song. So they put restrictions on them to say, if you cannot perform this song anywhere. You can't be out. You can't be your song that you wrote about what you're going through and all the situations that you've been through. You cannot perform this, and they performed it, and they got a sentence. And I think one of them still in jail. I think AM's out.
Now look, you're talking about the UK, and you keep on saying like, well, we don't have the same laws over there. It's not as good. And objectively speaking, you're right about that, from what I know at least. But this is, we have some of these problems here in America too. I have not really seen anything with music. If there's people out there who want to correct the record in the comment section, go ahead. But I haven't really seen that. It just gets scary to me when you start getting to like art, which is the oldest human expression known to man since the caveman were drawing fucking clay on the stone. And you start to say, oh, this can go and this can't. We're getting towards this like AI world. I'm not trying to get too meta here now, but like, how's this going to be policed? And that question alone is already a problem because you can't. Like, I think if there's one thing we've proven throughout the course of human history, it's that whenever we decide to put control over what people are allowed to not even say, but think in a way, it never ends well. And listen, nobody wants to go walk out in the middle of the street right now and see a KKK rally. Yeah. None of us want to see it. Well, I mean, if there's a crazy person out there, they do. But, like, no normal people want to see that. We think that's, like, the worst thing ever. The problem with stopping it from happening, though, is actually worse than the problem of it happening, believe it or not. Like, I remember there was a tweet, it's maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, where I'm like, oh, this is it working. There was some bullshit KKK rally it was in Georgia somewhere, but it wasn't Atlanta. And there was a video on Twitter that went like kind of viral of them taking a video of this rally, and the whole internet was laughing at them. And I'm like, that's how it's done. Because you're like, look at how awful these people are. Let's draw attention. They want attention? Great. We'll give them attention. We'll show them what scum they are. And we'll do the worst thing that makes people feel the worst about themselves, which is we will literally laugh at them in the middle of saying what scum they are. That's free speech working, right? So if you get to a point where like, even the art where people are expressing things now becomes no, you can't say that. We're fucked, man.
There's something crazy that happens when you stop people talking. Like if you shut down the KKK rally and you tell them they can't talk, that amplifies it so much more because it's proving that you're afraid of what they have to say. Right. And if some racist KKK guy wants to try and convince me that to be racist, that's never going to work because most people are going to see that and hear that and think it's bullshit. They're going to think those people are stupid. They're going to think they're ignorant. And sometimes I feel like the best way to convince people of that kind of thing is to let them put that stupid shit out there. Everyone's going to laugh at it or they're going to disprove it. And that's why like in this situation, you got the Met Police. They want to stop these young rappers that are coming out of these circumstances from talking about what's going on because they know they're scared of the truth about how bad they let these communities get is, right? So it's like, it just goes to show you how powerful the music is that the police are like, we don't want anyone knowing how bad we've let these streets get. We don't want anyone to know how bad these things are going on. So the idea that they're gonna censor the rappers is just crazy. But it's exactly what you say. It's a lot of stuff going on right now with like protests and we need to shut down certain opinions. But you just got to let all that be out there. You just got to let people talk it out. Like we're not going to get anywhere. Those racist guys from the KKK, we're not going to convince them to not be racist if we're not allowed to have a debate with them.
That's right.
And that's the crazy. You always hear things like this of people that are super ignorant, super racist, and they actually sit down and have a conversation with a normal black dude, and they're like, oh well, we connected on a personal level. I don't feel like that about you. I've seen you as a person.
Oh my God, I was wrong.
Yeah, you hear that. You always hear that. It's funny because it's like I've got friends that kind of deal with those sorts of situations. Where I'm from, where I'm from originally, there's not that diverse. There ain't that many black people.
You don't say.
Yeah. It's like that. Not London's very vibrant.
I know London's diverse, but that's not where you grew up.
But it's like you always hear people say that. I've had my black friends, they tell me if they have an interaction with those sort of old racist white people, but they have a good interaction, those people, they're like, oh, what is it? They always say some shit like, oh, you're all right. Like, you're all right. You're good. We're racist. We don't like the rest of them, but you're one of the good ones type shit. But it's like, but that just goes to show you when you sit down with a normal person, like the situation I've just described, it's like, oh, You got to let that happen. You can't. Those
That's
KKK members or whatever. I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's like they need to just sit down with just a normal, chill black guy and have a normal conversation, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I ain't going to think all of this," because they're on some shit where they're probably never even sitting down with black people, and they're afraid. You know what I mean? They're afraid to have those conversations. They're afraid of this group of people. And if everyone sat down and actually hashed it out and just as people, and that's the thing I feel like as well, it's like America, you've got a lot of these divides, you know, whether it's racial or political or social class. But the great thing about America is everyone's an American. If you got a black American and a white American, they sit down, it's like, you're American, you got that in common. And I feel like the world would be a better place if everyone just got along.
Oh, fuck yeah, bro. And Alessi over here on the spot read my mind. I was turning to him to tell him to pull something up, and he already had it. You ever seen this guy, Daryl Davis?
I don't think I have, you know.
He's amazing.
Okay.
He's
what's the
fucking
deal?
amazing. He was on my friend Danny Jones's podcast. I know he did a couple podcasts with Joe Rogan, right?
I know he's done one. That's not
I think there's a couple, but there's one of them, like, I guess it was the first one he did. It was incredible. This guy collects KKK robes.
No shit.
Yes. So he has among his friends a ton of former KKK members where he did exactly what you just said. He would just sit. He was like he was an actor, musician, and so he would play in this one restaurant somewhere, like I guess where there was near some KKK people. And one night, some guy was like dancing along. He's like, he said that. He's like, "You're all right," or something like that. And he's like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, I don't really hang around with you people." and he's like, "What do you mean, you people?" And he's like, "Well, you know, I'm in the KKK." And he started laughing. He's like, "No, you're not." The guy whips out a card. They carry cards. And he had a card.
They have a KKK
They have a
business
KKK
card. That's
card.
wild.
Yeah, I think that's right. I hope I'm still right. I'm remembering that right. But he whipped out like some form of identification that was like that he was in the KKK. And Daryl, instead of being like, "Yo, fuck you" or whatever, I'm sure in his head he was like, "Come on."
Yeah.
But he was like, "All right, let me understand why this guy feels this way." And pretty quickly he realized he was not from much. He didn't grow up around him much. He grew up rural. There were no black people around, and so he was taught at a young age to like, that's the problem or whatever. And then once he got to know him, he was like, damn. And so he said, "Hey, if you leave the KKK, can I just have your robe? I want to stick it in the closet and collect them, like, you know, I guess like
That's it.
Nazi war crimes." Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's the same shit. It's the same shit.
But he does, and he goes and converts people, and it just shows you like they have half the problem. 95% of the problems we have in society, probably 99, are a lack of proper, not just communication, but proper communication.
That's so true, man. You know, like you say, you're describing this guy, and it's like if you grew up and you've not been around anyone black, you're going to be scared, and you're going to have these ridiculous ideas. And it's those conversations that can turn things around, I would hope, you know, and it's a crazy thing because for me, I grew up in a place. Realistically, I was born in London, but I grew up in this place, Bognor. It was very, very quiet, not very diverse. Don't think there was any black kids at my school, to be completely honest with you. But I grew up idolizing black people from the music. Yes. I grew up with a 50 Cent poster on my wall, even though there were no black kids in my school. I had a 50 Cent poster on my wall, and I loved rappers. And it wasn't even a thing. It wasn't some shit I was thinking of like, oh, these black people. It was just like, I just loved the music. I loved Eminem. I loved 50 Cent. I loved Jay-Z. I didn't think about anything of the sort, even though I was in a place where there weren't many people of color. But then I moved to London and met unlimited people of color, and you know, have made tons of friends of all different backgrounds. You know, black, white, Asian, all kinds. And it's just kind of like, I felt like hip hop really educated me growing up, as far as like just having understanding and empathy of the struggle of people from different backgrounds, not even necessarily just racial. Someone like Eminem, you know, I didn't grow up rich, but I didn't grow up poor. I grew up in a pretty nice, normal family in the countryside. But like Eminem, this guy growing up in 8 Mile in the gutter of Detroit, right? And Jay-Z is a guy growing up in Marcy Projects. So to me, 50 Cent and Jay-Z, that's like the same kind of similar experience. They're both growing up rough in their city, and they made something out of themselves through their art. So I'm looking up to these people with no real bias or judgment. I'm just looking up at these are just great men, you know, like someone like, and that's the interesting thing is like, for me, I just happened to have that experience, but like there were racist kids at my school, you know, that had never met a black person. And it's just interesting how these different influences kind of affect you over the years. But it's like, you know, these KKK members, had they grown up with somebody playing some 50 Cent in their house, they might have just a completely different idea of the people that they're talking about and the people that they're scared of, and it just goes to show you how powerful music can be. For me, at least, that music gave me an education of people that were a million miles away from the lifestyle that I was living, but I felt like I had an understanding and appreciation and a respect, like someone like 50 Cent and Jay-Z. That's a super. When I was a kid, that was those superheroes to me, as far as just like great men. And, you know, I just didn't have that ignorance that maybe some of the other people I grew up around had. But collecting KKK robes is crazy, man. I need to look into Daryl Davis, man.
That guy's amazing. He's so cool. Love hearing him talk. But, like, to your point, you're guys like you and me, even, we're a product of having access to the mass media generation because we can get access to these things. Like, if we, to your point, like, if we walked outside, you know, growing up, we wouldn't know some of this stuff, but then, you know, through the internet and even before that, you know, when there was at least some mass scale, like people could get access in the 90s to hear what Tupac Shakur had to say. Yeah. And like actually have some education on that. I think that's powerful. But, you know, we got into this talking about the Met Police cracking down on stuff with music. And, you know, I do try to, like, even when I completely disagree with actions that are taken in that case, like the government doing something like that, I try to understand where they're coming from. And I could see, if it's not sinister in that way, like, oh, let's tamp down on free speech, which it usually isn't. I could see how they may look at a case like in America, like a King Von, and say, okay, there's a literal gangster who was actively a gangster, got into rap while still being a gangster, rapped about doing it, and was killing all these people, leaving bodies behind him. We're going to talk about this now. But, like, leaving bodies behind him and everything, and it then set off an example to other kids, maybe even from his same place, but in other places, like, this is still cool. Therefore, oh my God, if what was the name? What was the guy name start with D in London?
Digga D.
Yeah. Oh my God! If Digga D is rapping about this thing in, you know, the East London projects or whatever, like, we can't have that. I can see where they're coming from with that. I completely disagree with the action taken, but sometimes, to our point with the KKK guys, of course, people take their rights of speech way too far beyond, like, what's acceptable. But to get to King Von, actually, Alessia, can you pull up that video real quick? King Von documentary. This is how I had found you, because I guess you put this out a little over a year ago.
This way, yeah.
Right?
It's interesting because it's like I'd covered him before in the past, and you know I'd had a lot of viral documentaries sort of from around Chicago, but obviously this is the thing that really blew up and put me on the map. You know, it was just over a year ago that this video dropped. Yep. I really wasn't expecting it to be as big as it was, but I think you know, in hindsight, I think just the idea of, like, labeling him as a serial killer really caught people's interest, and I think that ultimately I just felt like this guy was different on another level to anything I'd seen as far as Chicago gangsters and the situations that I'd come across. Right. You know, there's never been anyone like Von in hip hop ever.
How much of him? Because he would to bury the lead here. He was killed in November 2020. So this video is coming out 2.5 years after he died. When he was alive, how much were you aware that he was quite literally doing this stuff?
So I did 3 videos on him, shorter videos on him when he was alive, and in one of those videos I didn't know the extent of it as far as the 7 murders, but I knew there was a couple. In one of them, I talk about some of the leaked tweets between him and another girl, Ki, who he allegedly killed, and he wasn't happy. Him and his team copyright strike the video. They did a fake copyright claim on the videos. They were going to delete the channel because it was 3 videos, and they said, you need to trim out any mention of the murder of Ki from these videos, and we'll let you have the channel back, basically.
And they reached out to you personally?
They reached out to me personally.
Now, who's reaching out to you? Like some dude in a suit somewhere, or like some of his homies?
An A&R from Empire Records who was working with Von. So very official.
Okay.
Very official. I would say that's, I mean, damn, like a real record label with their real employees, like, threatening people with violence to remove references of murder from pieces of journalism. That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
I don't know, Empire Records, I guess that's how they roll. But yeah, that was wild. I did what they said. I removed all the references from the KI murder from the video, and they let me have my channel back, so I do appreciate that. But you know,
You could see it.
I could see what was going on. Like I was making this little piece. It wasn't just me. There was another channel called Trap Geek. He made a video called The Soft Spoken Assassin about the same shit basically, with Von, this new rapper that was coming up that had beaten murder cases and supposedly had more bodies. But anyway, at that time, it was kind of like a lot of rumored stuff with like a couple of murders. Oh, it's rumored he was involved in these things. After he died, you know, the Chicago police released some paperwork to say that he was, you know, prime suspect in a couple murders. That allows them to close those cases after Von had died.
He beat a charge too, right?
He had an official murder charge that he beat.
How did he beat it?
It was fluky, man. So it was him and a guy called Big Mike, and Big Mike has just come out of jail recently, so he's been doing interviews talking about this case. But Von and a guy called Big Mike, they were turned up to like a barbecue house party type thing, ended up opening fire on 3 people that were there. One of them, a guy called Malcolm, ends up dying. 2 of them are hit, but they survive. And Von and Big Mike end up being charged with a count of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Or as Von would put it, a body in 2 attempts. He'd say that a lot. What ended up happening was when they sat them down for interview, Von didn't say a word. Big Mike said, I let off shots, but Von was the one that killed him. Right? So there's this thing of like, he was trying to snitch. Here's the crazy thing. Because Von said nothing, they had nothing on him. But the other guy said, I let off shots, but it was Von that killed him. So he's let everyone know that he let off shots. So as far as the jury is concerned, we got a statement of you saying you let off shots. So we got you on this case. Von didn't say anything. So they offer Big Mike a deal to say, well, tell you what, if you fully flip on Von and say Von did the murder, we're going to give you a deal. And we're going to let you out on this thing. So Big Mike says, yeah, I'll take the deal. I'm gonna flip on Von.
I'll take that deal.
Going to take on the deal. I'm going to flip on Von. And then right up when it gets to the trial, Big Mike changes his mind. He says, no deal. I'm not saying anything about Von.
He could get hit with it himself.
Well,
but he didn't.
Because Von didn't say anything the whole time, they didn't have anything on Von. Yeah. So Von gets out. Big Mike gets 18 years for the murder because he said, I let off shots. And in the end, he didn't want to turn on Von. So Big Mike...
He didn't do 18 years, though.
So he ends up doing 10. He came out just recently. This was 2014.
Got it.
So, and Von goes on to write a song called Why He Told, all about Big Mike turning on him and going to snitch on him. But the way it all played out, Big Mike ended up sitting down for the whole thing, and Von ends up getting away scot-free because he didn't make any statements. So Von comes out December 2017, beats this murder. He's just scot-free, basically, and he does a famous interview on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, where he's basically saying, like, I got a body in 2 attempts, like, I just came home.
This was, I want to say this is at, like, the 1 hour, 45-minute mark of this video, Leslie. Go check that. If it's Durk and...
That's a hell of a memory
Durk,
if you nailed that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Durk and Von at this interview.
Am I on it? Go here. Oh.
Let's get some of that ad revenue.
I have to give him my premium. I think I've said this on 7 podcasts now.
It is on yours.
When I see anyone without premium, I'm like,
the
damn.
other one because I have the premium, but for some reason it doesn't populate the second account. Yeah, play this.
Yeah, this whole breakdown's crazy.
145.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Let's go. All right, hold on. Let me turn this on. Go ahead.
Charlemagne that he wanted to sign Von because of the backstory behind him. With Charlemagne not being
this was crazy, bro.
for the realness when Von started talking about beating his murder charge.
What made you want to sign King Von?
Cause he got a whole story behind him.
What's the story? What's your story?
My story, I just got out of jail for beat a body in 2 attempts. Like,
So you was in jail for 2 murders?
yeah, 1 murder and 2 attempts. I just beat.
How you beat that?
Yeah,
I mean, you didn't do it. Cool.
What a question.
You know, jury, yeah, look, you know.
In the interview, you can visibly
That's what's
see
crazy
Durk
about that
trying
is
to
it's
look
like-
for Von and covering his
Leslie.
tracks after Charlemagne.
You can tell Von's proud. Like, I find, like, people didn't watch this interview close enough. It's like, you can tell Von's proud when he says, you didn't do it, obviously. And he's like, a lawyer. I beat it because of a lawyer. He's not saying I'm innocent, I didn't do it. He's saying I beat it because of the lawyer and the jury.
The coughs, though.
And that's coming up,
Hold
the
on,
coughs.
Play this. The coughs sent me. I heard this. I'm like, oh no.
Most people didn't clock this. That's the thing. I looked at this stuff so
I love
closely.
that you got that. Like
Yeah.
that's like when I saw it, I'm like, all right, this dude does his homework. Because
Yeah.
that shit was wild. Play this.
From Von if he actually did the murder. With Durk butting in, saying that Von beat it because he didn't do it.
You gonna beat it. You gonna beat it if
He's
you
like
didn't
trying
do
to
it,
help
that's all.
him.
Yeah.
Von would go on to say that he can't get a normal job in Chicago because he's done so much dirt in the streets that if he was seen working a normal job, he would probably be killed on sight.
It's like, I can't work no job in Chicago, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just-
Why couldn't you work a job in Chicago?
I got a face card. Like, I can't.
Oh, I got you. People know
Like,
you.
say if I'm behind the counter at McDonald's, somebody coming out here do something crazy.
Yeah.
Then, at the end of the interview, as Von was explaining to Charlemagne that he had no plans after jail because he's got no experience doing anything, suddenly Durk begins to cough, seemingly giving Von an indication not to say anything incriminating about his former life as a killer.
What other plans did you have other than rap?
I ain't had no plan. That's the thing. Like, you get out, you got a lot of shit on your mind, so you getting that. What to do. It's like, back to the streets.
Have you ever
No
been
experiences doing nothing. I ain't, you know?
He's like, come on, stop.
Word.
That's good.
This interview
It's just the little moments, you know.
Pause that.
But people don't clock that kind of stuff. But that interview is so creepy when you think about it, because no one knew what Von was about back then. Charlemagne's got no idea what he's really dealing with. But when you look closely at what's going on and the dynamic, you can see it's deeper than is on the surface, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's because again, the crazy thing about his story is that he didn't even want to be a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, this is business friendly to do this while I'm doing this. Actually, Alessi, can you go back to like 30 seconds? I think what would be good for people, we're going to put the link to this full 3.5 hour incredible documentary in the description. So I want you guys to all watch it. But if you can go back to the very beginning to 30 seconds, Alessi, like, all the way. Yeah, exactly. Like after the Patreon thing, let's just watch the intro so that people can get a feel for this, for how you put this together. Go a little more. Right,
Yeah,
there's perfect.
I've got to go hard on the disclaimer nowadays.
All right, let's roll it.
camera, which I could never show you on YouTube. But if you don't want any of that, just sit back, enjoy the video, and hit that subscribe button. Ever since the 1980s, gangster rap has been one of hip-hop's most fascinating subgenres. From the mean streets of gang-infested Los Angeles that were brought to life by early gangster rap pioneers like Ice Cube and NWA, to Tupac and Suge Knight taking over the music game with vivid tales of gang-affiliated rappers who would bully their way into the music industry. And then you have legends like Jay-Z and 50 over. For decades now, rap fans have been looking for the realest artists, whose lyrics paint the picture of a real life of crime that isn't embellished or fabricated. But when it comes to rappers who truly keep it real, the Chicago drill scene has dominated for the last decade. First popularized by Chief Keef, the Chicago drill wave was characterized by rappers that grew up in the most dangerous blocks in America, with these up-and-coming artists rapping plainly and honestly about what they experienced growing up. Shootings on the block, disrespecting dead enemies, and constantly being chased by the police. Chicago drill rappers took gangster rap to raw new heights, where the stories behind the music could be matched up with the local news reports on the latest homicides. However, what happens when the people doing the killing start making the music too? Because in the years after Chief Keef popularized the violent stories of Chicago gang life, one of those gangsters killing people in the streets picked up a microphone too, and started rapping in the first person from the perspective of the actual killer. King Von had a reputation in Chicago as a fearless killer before he'd even
tweets
started
are
rapping,
insane.
and it's widely
Yeah, the
believed,
tweets are
based on
wild.
the statements he made in his own
I
songs,
think that's the craziest thing
that
about the whole
himself
story.
could have killed as many as 7 people in his career as a gangbanger, with more murders even taking place after he got rich and famous, with it being rumored that Von used his money and influence from the rap game to have old enemies in Chicago killed, and going on a journey which, in my opinion, takes him far beyond a street player who had to kill to survive in the mean streets of Chicago, because if King Von's tweets are anything to go by, he simply loved killing people. And the sheer amount of people that King Von allegedly played a role in killing has led to intense speculation as to whether he was a full-blown serial killer, a title which King Von's enemies even said that him and his friends took personal pride in. Now, the FBI defines a serial killer as a person who kills over 3 people with time spans in between them of more than a month. Furthermore, serial killers tend to have an element of psychological gratification, which plays a role in the motive for their murders. The FBI also state that a serial killer might seek various kinds of gratification through their killings, such as anger, thrill-seeking, financial gain, or simply for attention. I personally believe that over the course of his career, King Von demonstrated all of these characteristics and can indeed be classified as a serial killer. King Von frequently exhibited behavior in public that conformed with these rules, tweeting regularly about his desire to kill, bragging about having committed specific murders in his music, which attracted him international attention and Billboard charting songs, with his drill anthems about murdering rivals making him a rich man with millions in his bank account. The FBI also point out another characteristic of serial killers, specifically that their victims may all have something in common. For example, a demographic profile, appearance, gender, or race. And it would appear that King Von only killed young black men and women from the community he lived in.
You said this was like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Rundown part of Chicago.
So that's the point I'm trying to make.
When I was
after I made it,
victims,
I really wish I'd thought of this before, because people have been saying a lot of people compared him to like the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
Because it's like how the Zodiac Killer left letters and clues and writing and stuff, right? It's like the whole thing I say with Von is like, he left so many clues. He really wanted people to know that he was doing this stuff, and he would leave clues in his music, in his tweets. And it's like, again, I didn't think of it when I was writing the documentary, but it was only afterwards that a lot of people were like, oh, I see, he's like the Zodiac Killer. Kind of wish I'd had that in there, because I feel like a lot of people have come at me with the whole, oh, he's not a serial killer thing. Like a lot of people, they try and hit me with like, oh, he wasn't a serial killer, he was just a gangbanger. And it's like, he went beyond that. And as I just break it down there, it's like there was an element of like personal gratification and thrill seeking to his behavior, and he continued doing that after he became a millionaire. And I think it's like, if he'd have killed those 7 people and never got famous and rapped about it and left clues and kept trying to have people killed, I would have, you could have called him a gang assassin. But I think it was more about the psychological element, where he wanted everyone to know what he'd done, he wanted to put it out there, and he wanted to have it hidden in all these songs. Like there was like a thrill-seeking element where he got off on wanting people to know what he'd done, in the way I feel.
Outside of the fact we already laid out that he grew up in tough circumstances, what do we know about his childhood? Like, what was his home life like, and how did King Von become, before he was King Von, like the 18-year-old King Von, where he was first like getting arrested for serious shit when he was 17, 18 years old?
Yeah, I talk about this in the doc. So I basically break it down that like he had a very tough upbringing. His father was killed he was shot dead by a sniper. When Von was 11. And so that's how serious it got in Chicago, where before they knocked down the projects in the 80s, they would have these big buildings, like, the Calumet building, Robert Taylor Homes, these famous projects, and each block was controlled by a different gang, right? So you might have the Black Disciples Stronghold block, and on the top of that project building would be snipers looking out for rivals, or even the cops. So that's how grimy and serious the Chicago streets were in the 80s. That's the era that his father was a guy called Silk. And he ended up when Von was 11, he ended up getting shot by a sniper in one of these buildings. So that's what he's growing up around. And again, I say it in the video, I say, look, I got sympathy for Von, because you're growing up, you're 11 and your dad's getting killed by a sniper. That's different. That's what creates a demon, right? And he's got a song called Demon, where he raps that his friend White, I think it was his 17th or 18th birthday, his friend White had bought him a pill for his birthday, and Von goes into a convenience store and he comes back out and White's been killed on the street, right? There's another guy called 50 Shots who did it. But Von says in his song Demon, it was like when he came out of that store and saw what his big homie White killed, that's what turned him into a demon. And he says, seeing his best friend, seeing his friend laid out like that is what turned him into a demon and made him want to start killing people and catching bodies. So again, I have sympathy, and he's a victim of his circumstances in a lot of ways. But unfortunately, he became very good at killing people.
Yes.
He became very good at getting away with it. And then he became very good at rapping. And like I say, Von was a one of a kind. There was never anyone like him. I don't think there ever will be anyone like him in hip hop ever again.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness. But you had the pictures there at the beginning of the potential, I think it was 10 or 11 people that he was tied to. When was, I guess the question is, when was the first time he allegedly killed, and how good is the evidence for us to be confident that he had something to do with it?
Yeah, so I get involved in every one of those cases in the video and kind of break each one down specifically. It's 2011 when his friend White got killed, as he says, that turned him into a demon. From what I understand, the murder started in 2012. I think it was 4 or 5 murders in 2012, sort of back to back. Once he got involved in the streets, he got involved very deeply. His best friend T-Roy was kind of the most known shooter for O-Block in that area that he was from. That was his best friend who kind of taught him to navigate the streets. I just did a kind of short video, well, short for me, but like a video breaking down the history of T-Roy. So King Von's best friend and they say it was, 9 or 10 murders that he was involved in. So I just did a little video about that, about T-Roy's history, the guy that sort of taught Von how to navigate the streets. But so it would have been 2012. There was sort of like a few murders back to back. Von ends up getting put in jail for a period of time between 2012 and 2014. And then when he comes back, he hits the streets running again. I think there's 3 more murders at that point for a total of 7. He ends up going inside for the Malcolm Stuckey murder, which is the one I just talked about with Big Mike, 2014. He's awaiting trial between 2014. He goes to trial, ends up beating that case based on the situation where Big Mike said that he'd shot and Von didn't say anything. So Von beats that case. I think December 2017 he gets out, and it's in the documentary. He famously says he was friends with Lil Durk. Durk's neighborhood, Lamron, was a sort of black disciple neighborhood that was friendly with Von's neighborhood of O Block. They were quite close to each other. And when Von came out, he said he was just trying to hang out with Durk and rob rappers. He wasn't trying to be a rapper. He was trying to rob the rappers and hang around Durk and use that to kind of infiltrate the rap game to just rob people. That was Von's idea. And it's only he ends up getting thrown in the studio with THF Bezu, who was another one of Durk's friends who also beat a murder case. And, that's how the career kind of started. Durk put, Von and Bezu in the studio together to make a song called Beat That Body. They had both just beat bodies. They'd both beat murder charges. And that song was, super viral and kind of one of the first introductions of Von as a rapper. And clearly he had a talent for it right away.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was good. But, like, what had he rapped at all, like, when he was, like, 16, 17? Like, just in his house? Did he ever talk about this? Or
So he
had
didn't.
natural talent.
No, but the funny thing is, so around 2012, that's when Von's catching his verse bodies. And that's when Chief Keef is releasing his first songs and becoming really famous. So Von, during that time, he would often tweet lyrics that Chief Keef was rapping about the streets. And Von would tweet, I'm the real guy doing the stuff Chief Keef's rapping about. So when Chief Keef was talking about O Block, bang, bang, we'll catch the ops, we'll do this and that, we're smoking this and that person, Von was actually doing that stuff. So Von and T-Roy and the people they were rolling around with were the catalyst for what was going on in that hood in O Block that Chief Keef was rapping about. But I think Von took a lot of pride in being the real guy that was doing the stuff that was in the music, right? Like, I think Von... he tweeted it a lot, right? He was like, I'm the real deal. Like, I'm out catching the stuff Sosa's rapping about. That's me. I'm really doing it. And Von even had tweets where he said, Von was so deep in the streets where he would tweet, if you catch me rapping about this stuff, kill me. Like, there's old tweets of Von saying, if I start being a rapper, I need to get my head checked. Like, check me if I start rapping. And then later he starts rapping. No one's checking Von ever, but you know what I'm saying? It's like later on when he actually decided to start rapping, like he's got tweets where he's like, I ain't a rapper. I'm just using rap to make money. I'm a street guy. I ain't into this rap stuff. But that's the ironic thing is, I've said this before, is like, it's actually a crazy coincidence that Von had so much talent for both killing people and rapping. Yeah. He was actually good at both of them things.
That's one way to put it. I mean, he, obviously there was just something very natural there for him to do it. But, the Durk thing also is interesting because Durk's career is fascinating in the sense that he had a little blow up when he was like, in 2012, 2013, like, oh, he's going to become a thing, gets signed to one of the major labels. I forget which one. You said it might have been Def Jam. Will you check that?
I think it might have been. I think that was the deal that he was trying to get out of. But I don't want to get it wrong, but but he had a deal.
Whoever it was, essentially, he was coming up during the Chief Keef time out of the same neighborhood, so he was doing drill rap. That's why he was good. Goes to a label. They try to be like, oh, no, you're going to do like this fun little old school rap songs, and it wasn't good. Deal runs out. He's not even selling like 2,000 units on a drop. Like he was left for dead.
He was down bad, man. Durk was down bad. With the fake relationship with Dej Loaf. Like they were trying anything to get Durk moving back then.
Yeah. So then he comes back. He's on his own. No one signs him, and he's like, "Fuck it. I'm gonna go back to what I know." This is the era where King Von comes up. That also helps him because then King Von obviously like kind of blows up because of his notoriety, and one of the things that's followed around Durk is this whole Von thing where there's all kinds of rumors with Durk being involved in the same in the same world that he was, I should say. And they had a case together, I think in 2018 or 2019 where they were exonerated
19,
and not charged.
Well,
but
kinda.
But all right, what do you say, kinda?
Well, this has always been a big rumor, right? They said at the time that they had there's 4 guys in a car, right, in Atlanta, and someone ends up getting robbed of $20,000 and shot in the leg. And the police are saying they got Durk on camera shooting out of the car, and they got someone else running around on their feet shooting. And, Durk and Von caught that case. They were famously in court together on TV, footage of them in court together in the jumpsuits that was super viral. And Durk and Von weren't allowed to associate with each other after that. So 2019, Durk's kind of put Von on in the industry. They've caught this case together, and they can't even associate with each other.
But they were still doing songs together.
Well, that's the thing. They're doing songs together, but they can't meet up. But there's a few IG lives where you can kind of see that they probably maybe are spending a bit of time together when they shouldn't have been. But anyway, what ends up happening is that case, Von gets killed. That case ends up getting dropped against Durk, and a lot of people have spread this rumor that Durk snitched on Von while he was alive or after he was dead. But when Von died, the case disappeared. And one of the other guys that was in the car was also killed randomly. Now, if you want to be conspiracy theory about that, whatever you want, but one of the guys that was in the car when they end up catching that case got killed in Miami on a random fluky other situation. Other guys, Bezos, obviously a really close friend of Durk's, and Von, who ends up dying, then the case gets dropped. So some people said that, there's been this rumor, and I don't think this is true for the record, but there's been this rumor that people said that song, Why He Told, that Von wrote about snitches, that was about Big Mike. Some people said, oh, that song's really about Durk, because behind the scenes, Durk was finna snitch on Von. Now, anyone that knows Durk ain't snitching on anyone. No one hates rats more than Durk. So I'd say that story's got to be capped.
They also try to, there's rumors out there, and I think they're bullshit, but they try to say like Durk was behind Von being killed.
They say Durk sacrificed Von, or Durk
like,
got rid of Von to make that case go away. Anyone that knows those guys and their relationship, that's obviously never going to be true. Like they were brothers, really. Like they were like brothers.
I think, and I don't know Durk at all. My cousin Matt did live with him for a while back in 2021 doing work for him, and then lived with Moneybag Yo doing work for him afterwards. So he had an amazing experience with Durk, and they just thought he was such a fucking good guy. But from the outside looking in, I want to be careful how I say this, but it seems to me like in a way King Von dying, we'll talk about it, but obviously he was killed, died on the streets that he kind of lived on. I think that was probably like a blessing in disguise for Durk, because they're being around him and having that re-blow up start to happen when Von came on and Von's doing all the things he was doing, it pulls you into that world that we talked about earlier, that you're like trying to leave, and like there's a part of you that never leaves that, but if you're too much in it, then you actually become involved in it. And what it has seemed like to me since then, again, completely from the outside here, so take it with a grain of salt, is that Durk has now kind of removed himself from that in so many ways and is focused on the music. And 2021, 2022 were great years for him as far as it goes. I mean, that Lil Baby album, the one they did together, The Voice of Heroes, was fucking incredible. But like, it's weird to think about, because it's like a friend of his that died, but his friend was kind of a scumbag. Like, let's call it what it is. He was a total scumbag.
Von was a blessing and a curse for Durk, man, because it's like Von brought that street energy back to Durk when Durk was kind of going mainstream commercial. It wasn't really working for him. Von really brought that gangster energy back around Durk's music, and Durk was able to use his talent, because Durk is incredibly talented with the singing, with the way that he creates melodies and sort of uses the auto-tune, but to also talk about the gangster stuff and the pain music. I feel like Von brought that street credibility back to Durk, even though Durk had been certified from way back. But also, he brought that street energy around Durk's personal life, because they're catching cases together and creating legal trouble, and Durk's having to go and turn himself in. Right. So it seemed like it was a real gift and a curse for Durk. The whole sacrifice storyline that people say about Durk and Von is kind of messed up. That's bullshit. Obviously bullshit. But at the same time, it's like, it does make you wonder, if Von was still alive, he probably would be the kingpin of the FBG Duck hit, and he'd be on the RICO case with all of those guys.
What happened there?
Well, FBG Duck got killed. 5 guys from O Block, 6 guys affiliated with O Block end up going down for the murder, but it's in the legal paperwork that King Von might have put a 100K hit on Duck. He was the ringleader of the thing, but he was dead by the time that
the charges
actually dropped. But if Von was alive, there's no thing. Maybe they could have tried to wrap Durk up in the thing, because the thing is, Durk was unfortunately hanging around with a lot of those guys that were the killers after it happened. There's shots of Muwop on Lil Durk's jet, and they're hanging out together on the plane after the Duck murder. After the Duck murder, but before the charges dropped, right? So they could have tried to wrap Durk up in it. Had they arrested Von is the last person you would think would snitch on anybody. But had they arrested Von and maybe more people around the situation, I don't know, maybe they could have flipped some people, tried to drag Durk into it. It could have been bad. So it's, I think it would be wrong to say like, oh, Von dying was a great thing for Durk. But I think, the way that everything played out in the end, I think, as sad as it is, I think Durk probably got some benefits of the fact that Von was really out there moving wild, and had they ended up arresting Von and he'd been still alive and he'd have been on that case, I think that would have had a big repercussion for Durk, and it would have been difficult. So it's messed up, but the way that Von was living and the way that he was bringing that gangster killer energy to the industry. You know, unfortunately, that's how he ended up losing his life.
Right.
And I don't think that you can survive long term if that's how you're moving. If you're running around having fist fights with people who are real gangsters, like people want to say what they want about Quando Rondo, he's really certified in Savannah, and that guy Lil Tim who ended up shooting Von. You know, I did a documentary about them.
What happened with Von's death? Like who? So Lil Tim shot him, but what was the official story there?
Well, Von had been going back and forth with NBA YoungBoy. They'd kind of had a beef. You know, Von was trying to bring
over a woman, right?
Over a woman, but I think that was just Von was just trying to press YoungBoy's buttons by getting his baby mama in a studio session. I think Von was really trying to have a hip hop beef. I think Von felt like YoungBoy was the hottest guy because you got to remember in that period of time, we're talking like August, September 2020. That's when YoungBoy was on top. YoungBoy had, I think, 3 number 1 albums and 1 number 2 album.
Yeah, he was huge
in like an 18-month period. So he was biggest out when it came to street stuff. Von, I felt, saw YoungBoy as a target as far as like, I'm really street, I'm really killing people and getting away with it. You're fake. So YoungBoy, Von famously came out and said YoungBoy's cap, his raps are fake. It's bullshit. He took aim at YoungBoy. So they started beefing. They were having this little back and forth online. Von's popping up with YoungBoy's ex. YoungBoy's popping up with Von's ex. They're going back and forth using women as kind of a toy. But Quando was signed to YoungBoy. So King Von caught Quando Rondo outside this nightclub. And if you know, I've seen the surveillance footage. It's floating around out there a lot. You know, Von basically just seen Quando. He'd had a whole beef. They're friends with YoungBoy. Just start swinging on him. And he didn't count on the fact that Quando's guy, Lil Tim, who I did a video about him, he's a serious guy. He's like King Von in Savannah, right? So
Quando didn't even know it was King Von swinging on him at first, right?
And when you watch the footage, King Von just basically just runs out, starts swinging on Quando. There's ain't even a second to think about that shit. Tim probably didn't even know. He said it in songs that he didn't even know who he was shooting. He didn't know anything about these guys. He just saw somebody beating up his guy, the boss of his thing. You know, Quando's like Quando's entourage, you know, they're all affiliated with the Rolling 60s Crips in Savannah. So they're on some street gangster stuff.
Nice.
Lil Tim was just ready to roll. He didn't know anything. You're beating up the boss man. Like,
yeah, didn't he get like the stand your ground law or something?
Yeah, Lil Tim beat the charges.
Yeah,
and not only that, but after all the bullets started flying, King Von's guys pulled out a gun and tried to shoot Tim, but the gun jammed. So they're on camera trying to shoot them. So the whole self-defense case was cut and dry in the end.
Oh my God.
You know, so and that's unfortunate because to think for all the stuff that Von was involved in, and he was a killer and he was kind of getting away with everything in the streets, it ended up being a fluky situation that wasn't involved with his gang war. It wasn't revenge for any of the people he'd been killed. He was trying to have a fight in the industry, and he didn't bank on the fact that the industry guy he punched had real shooters behind him. Honestly, that's one of the craziest situations. I think the whole Von situation, it's like Von and Durk and YoungBoy and Quando, their whole beef, that's like the Tupac and Biggie of this generation to me.
Wow, that's a heavy statement. Yeah,
for sure.
That shit was crazy. That was the stuff I studied a lot growing up. That shit was gang stuff behind that. But, you know, how long did you spend researching this video?
Probably 3 months. Probably
that's
full 3
actually
months.
faster than I would have thought.
Probably like
holy shit.
Yeah, December 22 to like January to like probably like February, March 23. And then it dropped in April, so it probably took about a month and 6 weeks to edit.
Got it.
Probably 3 months of research.
Okay. So did you get backlash for this? Because like the claim itself, like you're not just saying, as you pointed out earlier, oh, he was a gangbanger, he was killing people for that. You're defining it right at the beginning. No. I think he was a literal serial killer. Like he, you know, got off on this shit and targeted people. What kind of backlash did you get for that?
Yeah, I got a lot, man. People were saying I was racist. People were saying that, you know, they were going to kill me, all that kind of thing. Because I think the thing a lot of people have put to me, and I get where they're coming from, but it's like they're not really listening to what I'm saying, is they say, well, you're trying to vilify like a black guy that came from the hood that was in a kill or be killed situation. You're trying to put this horrible serial killer jacket on him when really he was just trying to defend his life in his hood. That's cool. That's fair enough. But I'm making the argument that the reason Von is different was because he got off on it so much. He wanted the world to know about it. He was leaving clues. He was leaving songs. And the average guy that's in the hood that's defending himself and defending him and his family's life is on some completely different shit to Von.
Yeah.
So I get that. I'm not trying to put the serial killer jacket on everybody that's ever been in a gang and has had to defend themselves. I'm just putting it on this one guy that made a bunch of songs about the bodies he had and kept trying to have people killed when he was famous. So if you if you get that through your head, you get that I'm not trying to put anyone down because of their circumstances or anything like that. Von was really out here doing this stuff and rapping about it, and I feel like it's so I got a lot of hate on that front. I also got a lot of hate just from people connected to Von. You know, his
who?
Well, Von's cousin was very upset. He tried to get the video taken down a few times.
Wasn't the video taken down at one point?
Yeah, he got the video taken down a few times, and they got it back up on Patreon, and then I had to re-edit it. I had to blur out anything, blur all the guns, all the joints, all the swearing, everything, and it managed to stay up again after that.
Wait, so question on that, just behind the scenes. When you say re-edit it, is it the original file, and you go
no,
use tools? You had to upload
this
a whole
is a
brand new
re-upload.
one.
Yeah. So the original version I actually uploaded got taken down to like 700K or something.
Okay,
so
and
this is the
one has
re-upload.
10 or 11.
I've done re-uploads before. I've never seen a re-upload do better than the first upload, but this one was different.
Yeah,
it was crazy because it went up, people were talking about it, and then it went down. No one could watch it, so everyone was talking about this crazy documentary, but it wasn't up for a few days. This was all on like Easter, so it was last year in Easter. It was the Easter weekend, so I was trying to get help from YouTube. I was like, they're taking my video down. People are flagging this video. No one would help me, so I had to take it down, re-upload it, re-edit it. I spent the whole day editing all the. See there, we got this image of Ki. We're holding the gun, right? I never used to have to do that, but because they kept demonetizing, they kept flagging the video, kept getting it taken down, I had to go to town and blur everything. And I do that now, but I just had a video taken demonetized yesterday.
Like just yellow or full demonetized?
This one was just yellow.
But that's still, you make long, I know I speak your language,
You know what
with
I mean?
long content. When you make long content and it gets demonetized, you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like it really threatens the business model. So the way that I do it is like when that happens, I take the video down and try and find out what's going on. But it's messed up because they're saying the video's got swearing in it and it doesn't.
It sucks. I mean, and if you don't know little nuances or whatever, like 2 years ago, I had Meek Mill and Bill Cosby's lawyer in for a podcast, which is a wild podcast.
That's wild. Yeah, hell yeah.
And no one's ever seen it because in the montage I made at the beginning, he said the R word like 8 seconds in, and so it got the yellow signal. It's a 3-hour video. It went from doing whatever views it was doing an hour, like a day into the video or whatever it was when they demonetized it, to like 1.
It's a mess.
God,
they'd be doing all sorts of fluky stuff that's like beyond what they even say. Like I had a video, my Eminem and Kim. I did a video about the whole history of Eminem and Kim and their toxic relationship.
Oh, yeah.
How it inspired a lot of his music. And obviously she's got a history of self-harm and she tried to kill herself a few times. And, you know, it's a 2.5-hour video. That's like such a minor part of it. But they didn't demonetize it, but it got a suicide warning put on it. And the views just tanked.
I was going to say,
CPM
that keeps
tanked.
it out.
That's the crazy thing is that it says it's monetized, but it's the way it behaves in the back end is like a demonetized video. You see the CPM day one, it's just
That's
like,
right.
So it's crazy how they lie to you and say videos are monetized, and then they do stuff like that.
Yeah, I just wish it was like more transparent, and I wish like you had reps there who actually you could have a real conversation with to plan out content correctly. Follow the rules.
It's like why I hate that they have this whole system where it's just like you just got to do guesswork and just guess what they're going to like. It's like just tell me what I'm allowed to do and I won't do it. If there was a rule, this is the thing that's so shady with it. If there was a rule that was just like you can't talk about suicide ever. It's just crazy because like that video, the Eminem one, it's like that's such a footnote on what the story's about that she tried to kill herself at the end.
2.5-hour video. It's like one part,
and it's like that's a minor thing, but there's no rule. There's no in communication. And again, I love being a YouTube creator. I love YouTube. I love the platform. On the whole, I think it's just amazing. I'm so grateful that they give me this opportunity to do this. But it'd just be great if they were just a little bit more transparent with just what you're allowed. Because if they just said, look, these are the things. Don't even bother making a video on certain topics. Right. Like, that'd be great. You know, I just wouldn't do that. But it's the guessing, and it's like, I've got a video, and now it's demonetized, and they won't tell me why. And it's like, oh, we're not going to tell you why. What's wrong with it? And it's like, well, I blurred all the guns. I took out all the swearing. I don't mention suicide. Like, what's actually wrong with this? And it's like, we're not going to tell you. Like, if it was TV, they would just tell you, like, you can't, you know, these are the words you can't say on TV. These are the things you can't put out in your video. Great, I won't do those things. But
isn't it weird though how we're in this internet age where literally like a fucking 8-year-old can go find a murder video if they wanted to? I hope they're not doing that, by the way. But like everything's out there, but then like a platform that exists on the same internet, I'm not even talking about the dark web, just like regular shit, you know, a platform like YouTube is out there, and because it's a publicly traded company that has to answer to some stock traders or whatever, you know, they have to like put these and I empathize with it. Like, it kind of sucks. Like, they have to put some of these bars around how they litigate what can and can't go, when it's like, you know, I always use the example, The Sopranos came out fucking 25 years ago, man. You know, and that wasn't even on the internet. That was on HBO. But they said, yo, TV, but you can say fuck, shit, and whatever you want, right? And now the internet was like that on steroids. And yet we still live in this world where on the actual TV, which no one watches, they still can't say fuck. And then on the internet, where there's things that are monetized, like on YouTube or whatever, you know, if you do certain things, like sometimes as simple as saying fuck in the first 30 seconds or something, it's like, oh, no, that can't be monetized either. Like, what do we think these brands are? All these people are saying this stuff. We're all looking at this stuff. It's an open world. Like, what are we doing?
You know what's stupid? I just feel like they should just censor our videos. They should just say it with their chest and just censor our videos. If you don't want fuck in the first 30 seconds, they have systems to just flag that. Because the word fuck comes up in the auto-generated subtitles. So they know the fuck's there. They can blur the fuck. If you don't want just blur the fuck, let me keep monetizing. But it's this weird system. It's almost like they get off on punishing you. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're demonetized. You said fuck in the first 30 seconds. Right. We could just censor that fuck and keep you monetizing, but fuck you.
Yep.
You know, your 4-hour documentary said fuck one time, no money.
Out.
No money
You're
for
gone.
you. What? Like even the thing with the guns, it's like, you know, you can't have guns, you can have guns. Depends what environment you're showing them in. Just they need to just have it so it automatically blurs the guns. This is why the copyright thing's such bullshit, right? Oh, you've used 10 seconds of a song, all of your money's going to some record label, and like, you want to take the song out of your video? Sure, just press a button and just trim it out. But like, what? I have to check my YouTube every day to make sure I haven't had a bullshit claim. Why can't they just have it? If a song's in there, the song's not allowed to be in there, just take it out. Don't even tell me about it.
Yeah, easy.
Just like, they have the technology to do that, but it's like,
maybe it's coming.
Why not? Like, I hope not. I hope, like, if I can't use music, they just should have it set up. They should just have it set up so that if I can't say a certain word, it just mutes. Just mute it when I say that word. Like, it's all this you've got to be on the back foot, constantly checking your content. Like, I've just had a video demonetized, and it's like, it's a 4-hour video. We went through it. There's no swearing, there's no guns, there's no knives, there's nothing. And they won't tell me. So it's like,
crazy.
I've got to watch this 4-hour video through again, try and find, maybe there's one gun that I forgot to blur, and I'm going to have to re-upload it with 0 views again. Like, how's that good for anyone?
Because there's so much, that's the thing. You have to put so much work into making the video and doing stuff and whatever, but then all the quality control, that's the worst part. I mean, I put out 2 episodes a week. I mean, he knows, like, the day before the episode's a fucking 14 to 16 hour day. And a lot of it is spent on quality control. I go in there, I have to, on just the YouTube version, not the Spotify version, but I have to go blur out curse words in the first 20 minutes, you know, and then I got to go through and check questionable areas to see if I have to blur something there. You know, and I live on stress of it because people like you take time out of their life and their day, sometimes from across the pond, to be here. And it's like, when something gets demonetized, I take that personally, not just because, like, it's not good for me, but like,
no one's gonna view it.
That's what I'm saying. Someone comes in here, they spill their guts, whatever it is, then they don't get the proper attention that they should get for it. I just actually had that happen on a video with someone who did that, and it's like, it's so annoying, you know. But to your point, like, they have the tools. Come on, YouTube, like, let's make this a little easier for creators.
That's what makes no sense, because it's like, if you don't want swearing on your platform, just have it so that if anyone says we just can't hear it. Just mute it. Just have you like this. They wanna act like there's no rules. It's okay. We're not censoring you. But here's some guidelines where if you do any of the shit, you can't make any money. We're not censoring you. It's
not censoring. It's just no money.
We'd never tell you what you can and can't say. We just take away your money if you say something we don't like, and you have to work it out on your own. So it's a bit messed up. But at the same time, in spite of all of that, the headaches that come with it, I'm so grateful for YouTube as a platform. I'm so grateful to be a YouTuber.
I am too.
I love it. It's just the some of the rules, I just wish it was a little more clear. Because this is my thing with YouTube. It's like, I want to follow all the rules. Just make the rules easier and clearer to understand, and I'll follow all of them. Like, I'm a good boy, YouTube. Like, whatever you want. No guns. We're gonna blur the guns. But it's this thing of just like, oh, well, it's gangster content. Well, there's loads of, like, who says we can't talk about gangs and the music and these things? Billboard charting songs. Just make it clear. If it's no guns, we won't have any guns. If I can't have the N-word in the video, I'm going to have an IG live of 2 guys going back and forth, and they're saying the N-word every other word. We're going to mute the N-word every single time that happens. Just let us slide. We're just trying to communicate some information here.
Have you talked to Brandon or Tommy about this at all?
I think we touched on it a bit. I was talking to Brandon. He was telling me about some demonetizations, but like,
yeah, I know.
It's hard.
I didn't talk with Brandon about this as much off camera, but he and Tommy are really close. So I think they're in a similar spot. But like, you know, not like Tommy has it figured out with where, and as you know, he does. Both of them do very edgy content as far as like, you know, dangerous topics, going into dangerous places. So maybe talk with them too, because they know that was actually, it was funny. Before I ever knew Brandon, I figured out the problem with the Cosby video was the R word, because I didn't know that. And then I watched his Sneako video, and I saw every time in that 2.5 hour documentary that word was brought up, he bleeped it. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Well, putting Sneako anywhere is probably going to get you demonetized. So there's that too.
Yeah, that too. I actually think that documentary still did get demonetized no matter what, all the work he put in. But anyway, real quick, I just got to go to the bathroom. We'll be right back.
That's all good.
What's your favorite video you ever made? You made so many now.
One of my favorites was this London one I just made, but it's not there anymore. It's just got demonetized a couple of days ago, so I took it down, trying to get to the bottom of it. That was one of my favorites.
What was that about?
It was about this crew called Active Gang and a rapper called Suspect. So it is a UK kind of gangster rap story with a guy that basically stabbed 2 people, caught 2 murders, fled the country and hid out in Kenya. And while he was in Kenya, but while he was hiding out there, no one knew where he was. He kept releasing music, so he had body doubles in the UK, pretending to be him, trying to make out like he was still in the hood in the UK for like 18 months. And
what's his name?
Suspect.
Suspect. Can we pull him up? I want to see him. But go ahead.
Yeah. Like, he became really famous. He was sort of becoming like the King Von of the UK. If you type in Suspect AGB or Sus, this is the guy. So I did a big story about him. But anyway, he was hiding out in Kenya, became one of the biggest rappers in the UK. But in the end, he started posting his picture and his location and stuff on it started posting pictures of himself in the kitchen wherever he was hiding out. And people on Reddit started saying, I see that oven. That looks like my grandma's oven in Kenya. This looking Kenyan. And so they worked it out. And the craziest thing is Kenya, they got an extradition treaty with the UK. So once they located him, they brought him back. But the crazy thing is the murders him and his gang were involved in, there were 6 guys. So 2 of them tried to escape. They got caught in the UK, got life. 2 of them, Suspect and another guy, went to Kenya. They hid out for nearly 2 years. Then they got caught. But another 2 guys, they went to Somalia and never been seen again, and they got away with it. So they all went different places and got treated a different way, but there's no extradition with Somalia. You disappear into Somalia, you're gone.
You're done.
So they made it out, but Suspect got super famous, but ended up giving away that he was in Kenya, and they got him back. The crazy story. But I did a 4-hour documentary on this. Did that in February, but it just got demonetized like a couple of days ago. So it's I'm taking it down while I try and resolve that. The thing is, we've censored everything. The thing they sent us said swearing and violence, but there's no swearing in the video. We took out all the swearing. We took out all the violence.
That's ridiculous.
I took out even the descriptions of violence. In the Patreon version of the video, I explain in a lot of detail how the incidents where people got killed played out. I removed all of that for YouTube, and it still hit me. But it's like a month
crazy. It's crazy that you can have a video up for a while, get it demonetized, take it down, and it still does amazing, because that's how good they are.
Well, I hope so with this one. You know, I'm hoping I don't have to re-upload, because the thing is, sometimes I get hit with it a lot, and sometimes YouTube are kind of reasonable and they'll look a bit closer and they'll be like, yeah, this was a mistake. You know, a shout out to YouTube, but like I've had a couple mistakes. I've got demonetized by mistake, and I talk to them, and eventually, quite often, they'll be like, okay, like I had my Rollo documentary called Mr. Dog Food, which is about, he was one of the biggest drug dealers in Atlanta at the time, Rollo, who was also rapping about everything that he was doing, and he ends up getting caught. But that video has been demonetized a bunch of times, but it's not even any violence. He was a drug dealer that got caught, and must have been demonetized 4 or 5 times. But every time I speak to YouTube, I'm like, hey, this happened again. Like, there's nothing with this video is super clean, and to their credit, they've given it back. So they be making mistakes, and sometimes they're very reasonable about it. But I'm kind of sad, because I would have said that was probably one of my favorite documentaries. It's on my Patreon, so if anyone wants to go, patreon.com/TrapeLawRoss, you can watch that all uncut. You can find out all the deep, dark history. And to be fair, on my Clips channel, I upload the different chapters from the videos on my Clips channel. So you can, if you want to learn about Suspect, go on my Trap Law Clips, and you can learn all the little pieces from that documentary. But hopefully I'll get that full doc back together, because that's what I'm most proud of, the full 4-hour feature documentary about this topic, where you're going to learn everything. Like,
it's your masterpiece.
Like, yeah, to lose that, it kind of sucks, to be honest.
Do you have, like, with stories like that, like we were talking about your research earlier, but Do you have inside sources too?
No.
Like, you don't get access to any? You do this purely from the outside.
I don't want inside sources. People always hit me up like, yo, I got secret info on this rapper, that rapper. I'm like, I do not want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. My thing is I'm a researcher. I'm showing you, I'm trying to show you everything that's out there on a topic. I'm not trying to show you hidden info or some guys told me that this guy shot. I'm just what's publicly out there. Anything you see me say is backed up by public sources. I'm not out here just making shit up or spreading rumors. I don't want inside sources. I'm a secondary source researcher. That's what I do.
Are you a journalist?
I'd say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that might change at some point? Because like you're entrenched now, like you're extremely well known. You're respected by. I mean, some people don't like the King Von's family or something. Of course, you're gonna have haters like that, but like you're respected among the industry as someone who knows what they're talking about with this stuff and is putting out stories that are again based on a lot of research and put together to present the facts. Like I'm sure, as you were saying, like people are hitting you up and it's only gonna get more and more and more. Do you think is there something that would need to happen for you to change that stance?
No, I mean for me, I like the way I go about things is like how I like to do things. Like I like to learn everything there is about a rapper. Like I'm gonna watch all of the King Von interviews. You know, that's what I'm gonna do. Like I like watching interviews with rappers. I actually don't want inside sources. Like, I see myself as a researcher and like a filmmaker. You know, a director. Like I'm focused on trying to make my videos look better and more detailed. I'm not focused on trying to get primary sources. And people always come at me and they're like, "Why aren't you in the streets interviewing people?" Like that's like what Tommy G and Brandon does.
Right.
And that's not really what I'm trying to do. I might go to a location and film a few shots and get a little bit of B-roll and get a little bit of ambience, but I'm not really trying to have sit downs with people and trying to do talking head interviews for my stuff. Like that's not my approach. My approach is I'm me as the central, I'm like a filter for the information. I'm going to learn everything about the topic and I'm going to show you what I think is relevant for you to understand and appreciate what's going on. Like with the Youngboy video, I feel like that was a thing of like, I was such a fan of Youngboy. I wanted to take everything about him and lay it out in a way that so that if you didn't like or if you didn't know anything about Youngboy, you could understand where he's coming from with all of his music. And I do that with the information. I don't want to be sat down doing interviews and shit.
So even when you're doing some of the videos that are just on, say, like gang wars and stuff like that, you're still doing it strictly from the outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I don't want inside info. And again, it's like, I feel like when people say I'm a snitch or that kind of thing.
Who says you're a snitch?
All the rappers said be saying I'm a snitch.
Why?
Because they think that what I'm doing is snitchy and I'm kind of telling on what they're up to. But but it's like,
guys, come on.
You know what it is? I feel like it's just like, it's a lot easier to say Ross is a snitch rather than to say it's dumb for rappers to be rapping about real crimes. Same with the Young Thug trial. People are talking about like I released a video on Young Thug and his gang 6 months before he caught his case. When he caught his case, they were like, that's your fault. You aired out all of that stuff. But when you actually look at the indictment, they were surveilling his phone. They had the rental car somebody got shot in. They have so much more than the stuff I have. But at the same time, it's dumb that Young Thug has rapped about all these crimes so much in his songs. He's got this lyric where he raps, I shot at his mom, now he doesn't mention me anymore. Dude's mum really got shot, and that's out there. And so it's like to act like I'm a snitch when really I'm just reading Thug's lyrics and then looking up, did somebody's mum get shot? Sure enough, there's the newspaper article, there's the interview with somebody's mum getting shot saying them guys did it. It's there.
What do you think of this? Is a state by state legal argument that's been happening in the United States about the permissibility of song lyrics in trials, because to be fair, there's a lot of guys who are studio gangsters, right? They rap about the things that are based on third-person experience or, you know, generally where they're from, but they rap about it maybe from first person and they weren't there, and then those words can be used against them. Obviously, it's been a big argument throughout this never-ending Young Thug trial or whatever. Like, do you think that they should be allowed to use lyrics against people?
Absolutely. This is one of those things. I know people are going to be pissed off with this one because it's not what you'd expect. Why not? Why can't you use lyrics? And here's the thing. This is the dumbest thing. The guys that are trying to say, oh, my music's art, you shouldn't be able to use it against me. They're the guys that are doing the most crimes and talking about it. Young Thug, I thought it was incredibly disingenuous when Young Thug came out with this movement of protect black art when he's getting arrested, being implicated in a murder, and he's saying, we need to protect black art, they're using this against me. I feel like that's a disservice to all of the great black artists who made art without doing crime.
See what I'm saying? Yeah.
So it's like Young Thug's on songs talking about I shot at his mum and now he doesn't mention me anymore, and he was actually having people's mothers shot, right? So
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Free thug.
Allegedly. Well, but then there's the lyric. There's the lyric. He's talking about, I shot at his mum, he no longer mentions me. YFN Lucci's got a vlog where he's at his mum's house saying they shot at my mum's house. Here's the bullet holes. Could have
been someone else.
No, but here's the thing that people always use this example. They say, well, Bob Marley had I shot the sheriff.
Shot the sheriff.
And they don't use that against him because there wasn't a dead sheriff.
That's right.
But with the Young Thug thing, he's talking about I shot at his mum and there's a bullet hole in somebody's mum's house. It's
but there's a lot of moms out there. Of course, there's a dead mom somewhere. But like, there's fucking 340 million people in this country.
Well, listen, we knew whose mum he was talking about. We knew exactly whose mum he was talking about.
How do we know?
Because the mum's son is in a vlog over there pointing at the bullet hole saying they shot up my mama's house.
Yeah, but what if it was they, like someone else?
This is the thing.
There's a lot of people trying to shoot.
We're doing mental gymnastics to try and protect a mum shooter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm halfway joking, as you can tell.
No, but this is how people get with it, where it's like, we got to protect the music. And it's like, if you're not really doing crime, the music doesn't need protecting. You're trying to use the music and the art as a smokescreen for you to get away with crimes. Because realistically, this is the thing with Thug, right? People want to say protect him because of the music, because they like his music. But realistically, if he's out here arranging for people to get killed and having people's mothers shot,
not good.
That's not cool. And then to try and use the music as a defense to be like, oh, you can't use my lyrics against you. Well, why were you rapping about shooting people's mothers if that was a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly, it's gray area, but for some of the guys, it's not. And I can see why prosecutions would want to use that. I think it's one of those things that can be a slippery slope because, again, how do you make the determination which guys are real and which guys are just doing it for attention? Right, which isn't a crime to do that. You know, obviously, like, it's disingenuous for sure, but it's not a crime to do that. But that case has been, like, never ending, man. I mean, holy shit, I've never seen something drag out so long.
It's complicated, man. There's a lot of people involved, you know, a lot of situations involved. They've been going back and forth. I mean, the main murder from that case, I think, was in 2015, right? So
yeah, that was the rented car one?
Yeah, so we're dealing with a 9-year-old murder. But again, people been knowing about this. People been talking about this. There's a bunch of lyrics. You know, there's a bunch of stuff. Oh, and again, it's like, let's not use Thug's lyrics against him. Okay, well, we'll set aside the lyric. What about when his boys went to the dead guy's grave and sprayed slat on the headstone, right? That's not a lyric. But it's like, you want to try and get out of holding responsibility. Like Young Thug, if Young Thug really did pay for the murder to happen, and if Young Thug really did pay for the guy to shoot up the dude's mum's house, he should face justice for that. It's not cool.
Yeah.
This is the thing, is like,
Agreed.
I talk about a lot of this gangster stuff, but it's like, people trying to understand, it's like, I don't condone it. I don't think murder's cool. Like, people act like this is some shocking thing, but right? But if a rapper kills another rapper, that's not cool to me. I'm not a fan of murder.
Sure.
And people act like I should be like, somehow it's like, you're a snitch. And it's like, bro, if someone shot at my mum in real life,
you'd be pissed.
Best believe I'd be snitching.
Fuck yeah.
You know, it's this idea of people are a fan of a rapper and they feel like we just got to defend this guy to the end of the earth. And I love Young Thug's music, don't get me wrong. But if it transpires in the courtroom scenario that he really did pay for that murder to happen and for dude's mum to be shot, bro, he needs to be in jail. That's not cool.
Yeah.
And as sad as that is to say, people want to stick up for different people and protect the art.
No,
that's all well and good. Protect the art, but don't protect the shooters.
That's right. It's a perfectly fair point, and I'll retweet that. I agree. I mean, we can joke about it and whatever, but you know, I thought some of that case seemed like when it was first coming out, some of it certainly seemed a little suspect, but like at the same time, you don't do yourself favors. Knowing what I know now, with some time pass, you don't do yourself favors when you take like the gang name and you literally put it in the studio too.
This is the funny thing, is it's like you got a lot of these gangster guys. Again, it's that thing of like, we got to protect the music. And it's like, you need to protect yourself from jumping in a vocal booth and talking about all the shit. Nobody made you talk about those crimes, right? I met a young drill rapper the other day and he played me a song and it was a fire song. But then there's a bit where they're talking about this guy that got killed and what they do to him. And I said to the dude, I was just kind of like, hey man, like, you ever think about taking that little bit out? Like,
what do you say? I know who you're talking about. So what do you say?
It was just talking about a murder that happened, you know, just rapping about a situation, a murder that happened, and they're making fun of it. And there's sort of a thing. It's come up in other songs, but it's like at the time I was just trying, and I'm trying to do that on some positive shit to say to the guy, like,
yes,
yo, like, I love this. This is a fire song. Like, you're not going to hit Billboard with those those little lyrics in there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're not going to hit the charts with if you leave that little bit in there. I get, but again, it was like I was trying to gain an understanding because he broke it down to me and he was like, yeah, but he was like, those guys, they're dissing my guy that's dead. I feel like I got to put this out there and say that. And I'm kind of saying to him, like, I was like, don't you feel like you're maybe bigger than that? Like, don't you feel like you don't need to diss?
He's
yeah,
a
they're
kid.
dissing your guy, but these are young guys, you know, and they're
He's a kid.
and it's like. I'm not trying to tell him what to do, but I'm just trying to give him some advice. But then he's explaining to me why, yeah, but this is why I feel like I got to
Right.
diss these guys and I
Right.
got to say this. And I see where he's coming from. But it's like, I'm just trying to give him that advice of like, in a couple years' time, when you're a really big superstar, you might maybe think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone
Maybe
so
I
hard on
shouldn't
that
have said
stuff.
that.
Because
Yeah.
that, in the grand scheme of thing, all that street stuff is minor if you can become a superstar.
And this is where it gets odd because I don't know him well, but I was hanging out around him like a few weeks ago. He's a kid, the guy we're talking about.
Yeah.
And like when he's not in front of the mic, he's like the sweetest guy.
Yeah, no.
Like he's such
sure.
a, but there's something where it's like, no, well, I have to turn into this character now in there. And again, he's rapping about some experiences
Yeah.
too, but then it actually, like the mic becomes the streets and then it transpires to the streets. And I kept looking at that because I'm like, he's got great talent and he's so young. And I was so stupid at that age too. And I'm just like, someone could slow him down, but you can't, like you said, you can do it. I think that's great that you were talking with him. That's awesome.
Well,
Like,
it
you know,
felt
but-
at the time like that's probably some energy that he's maybe not used to having around him
That's
as far
right.
as like, and I'm not putting anyone down, but it's like when you got people around you and you're saying some crazy shit on a song and then everyone's like gassing you up like, yeah, that's good.
Yep.
From where you're from, that might be normal, but it's almost like, I just felt like, you know, this is an opportunity. It's like someone, you know, I'm older than him. Even just to say to him, like, bro, just want you to, I'm just letting you know, like, talking like this on this song, this song might go mainstream, but the way those little touches you put on there that's super violent, that might be a barrier to you going mainstream.
Or a problem down the road, like you said.
Yeah. And like, he might not have anyone in his ear saying that. So even just if that makes him think, like, maybe not this one, maybe down the line, he might reflect back on that and think like, hey, you know what, like, maybe I ain't gonna diss crazy on this song because this song might be a hit. And like, you know, I just hope,
Do you
hope
think
maybe
some
that's-
of it got a little through?
Maybe a little bit. I felt like it was a good conversation, but at the same time,
he didn't turn you off.
when
I
he
like
broke
that.
it down to me, I could understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about the fact that last week they done some foul shit on a song against him, right? I'm just thinking I'm here with him now. I'm thinking about his future. I'm not thinking about last week when they were saying some awful shit about someone that he lost, right? So it's different for him.
I like that he didn't shut you down. Be like, fuck you. I like that. That's a good sign.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
it was like some real shit, man. It was like a real conversation, you know, and
That's
I feel
good.
like it was like we were both seeing where each other was coming from.
yeah. And I know Brandon talked about this when he was in here on the podcast, but you know, he has a lot of these conversations with some of these guys in the places he goes to cover, and he's not afraid to at least bring it up. But you know, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and
Exactly.
sometimes the reaction is, "The fuck do you know, white boy?" Right? And that's just,
I get that.
That's yeah,
And I get that
that's
too.
how it is, you know. But it's interesting that like someone like you can be a fan of this stuff and then make these videos and then get in the middle of these guys
Yeah.
too and actually be there. Like, it's pretty cool, right? Being like in the studio when these guys are actually making the shit and you hear it before it's happening. No,
Yeah. Well, that's why it's like I felt like almost like I had a responsibility of just like I'm hearing some shit that's foul and
Yeah.
just trying to be like, I just want to let everyone know like what you just said is crazy. That's normal to you, but like you just said some foul shit. So just making sure you
Yeah.
guys are like cool with that. But at the same time, that's what they do. But it's just like I said this to people before. It's like the last thing I'd want to see is, you know, I meet a young guy that's coming up in the drill scene and he's got a lot of talent, and to hear something bad's happened to him, like that would, you know, I'm seeing it as an opportunity of just a little positive influence into this space because I feel like people get it twisted. Like I love the violence and I'm stoking the violence. Like
that's good. You're
I would
clearing that up.
I would love to over there not to be violence. I want to just see everyone make music.
Do you think there would be great music without that world though?
100%? Because this is the thing. Everything is looked through this specific lens of gangster rap, drill music. And realistically, there's people making hit songs that maybe started on the gangster side of things, but then went mainstream and have done a commercially successful without having to do all of that violent stuff. So it just goes to show you there's all these different lanes that people could be taking, but it's just like, unfortunately, right now, there's a big spotlight on the gangster violent side of the music industry. And I think that for better or for worse, for whatever reason that is, people are just trying to understand why things are like that.
Well, we're looking at it from the angle of, you know, the gang side of it and all that, but the other side that still has to be put in here is that these guys are creatives too, right? They're artists. And like, you know, there's a realm of thinking that goes with that. And also when you know how personal the creative process is, you are as well. So like when you and I are creating stuff and doing edits, like we want it a certain way. I mean, I know Alessi sits there and he hears me say, I want it this way. And he laughs his ass off, right? But that's just, you know, when he edits something, that's how he wants it his way too. It's a beautiful thing. But I think the bigger guys get too, there's that realm of like the barrier that can kind of come around them. And then you talk about like, can you really get through to someone? Can you really approach them and try to make them understand something when they're so in their world? And I mean, there's no better, I don't know if better is the word, but no more like extreme example of this than like Kanye West. Now, when you look at him, because obviously, you know, Kanye from a audio visual standpoint is an absolute genius. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. He's incredible. But he also, you know, he has some severe mental issues. I was at least happy to hear him finally like kind of admit out loud that he had autism, because that was always very obvious to me. But, you know, obviously he's done a lot of crazy shit. Let's call it what it is. But so much of him is like he is his own worst enemy and won't listen to fucking anybody about stuff. You know, and it feels like you're watching. Yeah, he's gonna make great art, but like you're still watching a train crash in slow motion.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. He's, to be honest, I feel like that's one of the most tragic things. Like when you see like someone that would have been like a hero grow up to just do some foul stuff.
That's right.
You know, all the stuff that he's been saying.
It's crazy.
All the Jew stuff, the Hitler stuff. Is you know, I don't fuck with that. You know, all of that, and it's just embarrassing. I'm not Jewish, but I got Jewish friends. I don't appreciate that. Shit puts me down. Obviously, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, but I don't think you should be hating anyone just based on like
I agree
who they are, where they're from, how they identify. And I feel like Ye has been one of the most disappointing ones to see where he's taken it and the influence he's had as well. I mean, you mentioned him a minute ago. It's like I bumped into Sneako in Miami. And
how was that?
Not good, man.
What happened?
We were out for dinner. I was out for dinner with some other creators, and he popped up. He just started talking a bunch of foul shit about how much he loves. This is when the Kanye Hitler thing was going on. Sneako talking about how great Hitler is, talking to him W Hitler, talking about Whitler. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, bro, allow that. And then he's like, oh, I remember Sneako, he says like, oh, apart from, you might want to cut this out for demonetization. But Sneako was like, oh, well, apart from the Jews, what did Hitler do that was so bad? And I was like, bro, I'm British. He bombed my country. You don't know what the fuck, you don't know shit about history. Shut up. And like,
God, he's such an attention whore.
But that's just from him clout sucking what Ye was saying at the time, dissing on Jewish people. And it just goes to show you how this influence of these people that don't know anything about what they're talking about. And Ye, because of his position as a genius in the art, he's so influential. When he spouts this dumb shit that he doesn't think about, people are out here spreading these opinions, acting like Hitler was a good guy. Like, you are Americans, you were at war with this guy. This guy killed your grandparents, probably. Right. You know, how are you running around saying that? You got your little mini-me saying shit like that. So
people are so influenced these days, like, and we're all susceptible to it. But like the streamer culture, you know, I don't understand it because I haven't really been in it. But some of it, like I've seen some videos on YouTube of like some opinion streamers going back and forth, and there's some good stuff. Like there's some good little debates and stuff like that. But so much of it is like, yeah, chat, W chat, all right, go chat. And all day they just wake up, they take a fuck ton of Vyvanse and Adderall, right? Or maybe they rip some blow if they're down in Miami or somewhere where they're getting good stuff like that. I'm sure he does. But I don't know if he does, but you know what I mean. Like they're on some shit, and they turn on a camera. It's so unnatural. Like you talking to a camera to record your documentary, but like scripting it out, you got your
planned
thing.
out. I know what I'm saying.
They turn it on, and they have all these people behind keyboards that they can't see going, like yeah, go, and it's like Money to the Clown show. The more the clown claps on stage, the more the elephant moves the tambourines, like the more they're gonna throw on there, almost like a stripper in a way on video, right? And you see how unnatural that is, and how it becomes like, we throw around this term online, echo chamber, all the time. They literally are living in their own echo chamber. They hear the echoes of their voices around them. It's not like this. It's not like where we are not live on the internet right now. we were outside the studio all day. We planned to come in here and have a conversation like real human beings. So many of these streamers, they're not doing it with someone else. They're just yelling at their chat who can't talk back other than text, and they're in full control, and it changes who they are mentally. I mean, I discovered Sneako maybe like it was a little while before Brandon put out his video in August 2022. And since I discovered Sneako, I guess that's like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, he's had like 4 or 5 eras.
Yeah.
He's one person.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 years. Like he's been in every era from like, oh yeah, Jewish is the religion of God. I actually am Jewish partially, and yay, Mr. Beast, or whatever. And then, suddenly like he's rolling around with Nick Fuentes and Kanye.
Well, I feel like that's just sign of somebody. I'm not trying to diss on him too hard. I mean, he definitely said some shit that like made me not really fuck with him when I met him, but he wasn't. I don't know.
He really said that?
W Hitler.
He really said W Hitler.
He said, "What did he do that was so bad?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm English." And it's like, you know what it is. When someone's talking. When someone's talking, and you can tell they don't know a fucking clue what they're talking about.
Yeah,
he's like, "What's so bad?" I'm like, "You don't know World War II, do you?" I'm like, "You don't know World War II history. I'm English. Do you know what? He bombed England. He bombed my country. Like, my grandparents had to move because of this guy. Like, you're anyway. Forget that. But like, that's just a sign of somebody that I don't think you can say has any real true like core principles or morals. They're just hopping on whatever. This week they're hating on this person, they're hopping on this opinion, they're going to hop on this religion, whatever they feel like, and then when it stops having the motion, they'll hop onto something else. Because I feel like for me, I'm really about my principles. I feel like the way I look at shit and see shit doesn't change. Like I'm grounded in my principles.
That's right.
I don't just hop on some shit 'cause it's popping, or like I'm trying to look cool, or I'm trying to ride a wave. But yeah.
How old were you when you made your first upload on YouTube?
My first ever upload would have been 2015. I'd have been like, what would that be? 22?
Okay, so better question. When you uploaded the Jay-Z video, how old were you? Because you didn't do any views before that.
No, I wasn't really doing views before that. That would have been start of 2019, so I'd have been like 26.
26. I think about this a lot, right? I got on YouTube when I was in my 20s. And I think about if I had discovered this when I was like 17 or 16.
Different story.
I might be dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was such a moron back then. I was still a moron in my early 20s. It's like, that's the one we talk about, like empathy with some of these guys. These kids were coming up when they were fucking 14 on the internet streaming and stuff. It programmed who they are. And I'd love to see like some psychological studies on that, see what that does. But like, I think that's kind of the advantage of us not doing it necessarily when we were babies with this and having any kind of attention. Our brain was able to develop without that. So we can have that perspective of like, yo, what the fuck is this idiot talking about?
Yeah.
And they don't have it. They can't see that. I mean, anyone who comes around and says things like that, like to anyone in public, it's not just like, okay, you clearly haven't studied history. It's like, okay, what went wrong?
No, you know what it really made me think as well? It's like, it was some internet shit. It was like when he's hopping on the stream and Ye has just said something really anti-Semitic and you're joking around and you're saying W chat, W Hitler, Whitler. That's funny in the internet, maybe to a dumb audience. But it's like, he was trying to do that like it's funny to my face. And I'm just like, bro, you're talking about a dude that bombed my country and my grandparents and shit. Like, that's not funny. It was one of those moments where it's like some internet shit popping up in real life and it ain't running the same. Like,
stunning, right?
He's saying that like that everyone was going to be in hysterics about that shit. And I was just like, bro, what the fuck? Like, whose man is this?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was awkward as fuck, man.
Did he just roll up with the camera rolling? Or?
No, he wasn't recording, to be fair. He wasn't recording. But this was this was like the week he was linking up. Because I was there, I was in Miami. I popped up on Fresh and Fit, and I know people hate on Fresh and Fit, but
I don't know much about him. So
I popped up on the show. They've shown nothing but love to me. I know they get a lot of hate on the internet, but they've been nothing but kind to me. And I would never say I agree with all the things that they say, but I agree with their right to say it. And I popped up on the show, but obviously Sneako popped up after. He's in that circle, but it was just a crazy experience, man. It's just sort of like, I don't know, man. And I get what you're saying, because I feel like had I popped off on YouTube, or even when I was trying to be a rapper when I was 16, 17, if I'd have popped off as a rapper, I'd have been on just like, I popped off on YouTube at a point in my life when I was very level-headed and like I'm consistent now. Like my morals and my beliefs had been cemented by that point. So when YouTube popped off, I'm navigating this in a very level-headed way. Had it popped off when I was 17, when I didn't really know what I was trying to do, and I feel like that's the best benefit of the doubt I could give Sneako. Yeah, he's a bit younger than me, and he's trying to fit in. Whereas like I'm at a stage in my life now where I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I'm not trying to fit in with anyone or fit in anywhere. Like I stand on the things that I say and the things that I produce and the things that I put out, and I'm just me, like unapologetically me. I'm not trying to be some cool hip hop guy from the hood. I'm a dork. I'm a nerd. I'm into hip hop and drill stuff. That just is what it is. Like, I am who I am. But you know, you meet these people that popped off on social media early. They don't know who they are. They're trying to find an identity. They're trying on identities, trying to like work out who they are and where they fit in. You know.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Do you worry about like confirmation bias? And what you do though too, right? Like you start working on, as you said, you'll work on something hardcore for a month, 2 months, 3 months. But you look at a story like, okay, let's just use King Von. King Von might have been a serial killer, and now you start doing all the research on it, and you worry about like having that confirmation bias to get to that end result that you might have looked at as the angle before.
Well, ironically, the Von thing happened the opposite way around. I never had the serial killer idea until I started working on it. I was just going to do the Von life story, and I was really trying to prove or disprove, because it's like, oh, he raps that he's got 7 bodies. Numerous lyrics where he says, I got 7 bodies. 4. So talk about bodies. I got a few 4 plus 3 and shit. So I was just trying to prove or disprove it. It was only once I start looking into him and I'm like, oh, he looks like he was involved in all 7 here, that I then looked up the definition of a serial killer, and I was like, I think he matches this. So that kind of came about the other way around. But I've had that in the past sometimes, where it's almost like I'll go into a story, I'll start researching it, and maybe a certain rapper has like a certain reputation, or even just a case of like other videos have been done about them. Yes. And I might be going into it with a certain idea, but often it's like, because I'm dedicated to the facts. So if I start reading stuff that doesn't fit in with what my preconceived biases were, I'll take a step back and I'll be like, you know what? This might not be the story I thought it was. This might be a story about something else.
That's great.
You know, I was trying to do the Eminem and Kim thing. This ain't a gangster story, right? But or even no, you know what story I did that really opened my eyes? I did the Kanye Kim Kardashian marriage.
Oh, that video is incredible.
Yeah,
bro.
right.
I watched that entire thing.
But it's like that was super interesting, because it was just like, let me really dig deep into this crazy relationship and just how crazy these two are. But as the more I looked into it, the more I almost understood how this was like Ye had gotten to a point where he was so famous, it was like one of the only people he could relate to was this Kim Kardashian, right? Yes. Of like the lifestyle that he was living. And it's like, you go into it with this preconceived notion of like, oh, Kim K's evil and she finessed him and all this stuff. And then you start learning about all the things that they'd been through and the things that she'd been through in their family history. And it kind of opens your eyes a little bit to like, oh, there's actually a bit more understanding as to why things are the way they are here. So I try and go into a story with a fairly open mind, but sometimes you think it's going to be one thing, and you look a bit deep and you're like, oh, it's actually something different. Like the Von thing for sure is a good example of like, I didn't set out of like, I'm going to put the serial killer documentary out. That came later. But obviously, once I realized that he met that definition, and I started continuing to write the script, then I leaned into that angle a little bit more. But it wasn't like I had this preconceived notion of how I wanted it to go, and then I've made it fit that. I'm very focused on the facts. If I find a fact that contradicts some shit that I want to say or that I'm trying to say, I'm going to have to revisit the whole structure and turn it around. You know, there's stuff of like people that I've wanted to look into, and it's like, you just find out what you thought you knew was untrue. And it's kind of, you got to take a step back and be like, okay, maybe he ain't a killer like that. Or maybe he is. This guy's actually is really what they say he is, type thing. But like, I'm focused on the facts, man. I really am just like so grounded in like, I don't want to put out anything false. I don't want to put out misinformation. Like, if you watch one of my videos, and every now and then I'll get something wrong, and I'd always throw up my hands and say, like, I was wrong about a few details. Yeah. But, like, my thing is, it's like, if I make something 4 hours, it's going to be the facts. It's going to be the most factual documentation of an artist, of a story that you could possibly find. Like, that's my goal.
Yeah, and you do a great job with it. But I was not... The celebrity like relationship drama and stuff is, I mean, I'm very behind on that stuff. Like, that's not really my cup of tea, what I do. I was not intending to watch your Kim Kanye video. This was earlier this week. But I'm like, okay, we made 3.5 hours on this. I clicked it, and within 5 minutes, I was going for a walk. I listened to the whole fucking thing. I think maybe I have like a half hour left in it. But like, it was very interesting to hear the psychological ties that you put there with them, because you think of them from these totally different worlds. And you actually pointed out, you're like, here's Kanye, came from nothing, had a stroke of genius, worked his ass off, grinded, didn't even get his real come up till he was 28 or 29 years old. Then you got Kim. Dad was a hotshot lawyer, grew up with a lot of money, around everyone in LA, wasn't really famous for anything other than being famous, because then she was famous for having a sex tape or whatever. But then, was able to, the two of them like find this common ground. And the cynic and you could be like, oh, anything the Kardashians do is like a sham relationship. I don't think it was. I think it was very real with those two people. And I have heard, I'll say about Kim, I've heard some behind the scenes stuffs about her that she's like kind of a real person, believe it or not. I haven't heard that about some of the others. I don't know how good that information is, but like I've heard that, and you kind of see it when you see this relationship and the way you laid it out. Yeah,
and that's a fascinating story as well, because it's like as I started looking into it, it's like to me, it seems like things really fell apart when Kanye got into politics and he was trying to run for president and all that kind of thing. And Kim was getting involved into politics, but from a different angle. She was trying to do the prison reform stuff, and it was just so interesting to see how that relationship really fell apart, with Ye throwing himself out there for the trying to be president, and just how much negativity that brought to the family. And like, it's through the research. It's like I'm researching this, trying to piece together what I think of the story, and it's like I'm learning about this aspect and that aspect. And Kim's working with Trump, and she's trying to get people out of jail, and she's trying to do this prison reform thing, and just how they both kind of like work together, but then also against each other. It's just fascinating. And again, that's from me being a true fan. Like, I'm researching that project, reading every interview that Kim is in where she mentions him, or every article that's written about their wedding, every appearance on Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kanye popped up. And it's just like, I'm trying to get a complete picture of like anything to do with their relationship. I want it to be in that video, and I want you to understand how it came about, how it fell apart. And I'm just obsessive, but that's what I love to do. Like research. I remember researching that video and just how interesting it was. Every day there'd be some new interview, some new clip, some new article about their marriage that I'd have never seen before. And it's just like, I just love doing this. I just love this. Like, I'm obsessed with the info. It's genuine. And like, it's just a blessing to be able to do this as a job, honestly. Like, to be able to dig so deep into the stories that I think matter the most. And like, it's a blessing. But I'm glad you liked that, because I think sometimes I get put in this box of this true crime gangster stuff, which I'm deeply invested in. I really care about drill music and the history and the scene and the young guys coming up. But at the same time, like, I love to jump on for a month and do a Kanye, Kim kind of history, the Eminem, Kim Mathers history, even, in the past, like I've done just so many different types of videos of like different people's careers, the 6ix9ine story. There's just so much more than just the drill gangster stuff, but that's what I've become most famous for, I think, because that's a topic area people really want to know about, and there's not enough information out there really breaking down the history of it. So I feel like that's caught on in a way bigger than maybe the relationship drama videos.
And it's crazy because their lives are like her life and that family's life is literally covered through camera. Yeah. But it's a facade because it's like, well, it's a reality show, right? But then you actually get together all the things that you can say are real and that did happen. And then you can see some of it on video, when Kanye was filmed at his opening thing in Charleston for the 2020 election where he kind of lost it. And then you see, okay, this is where this is going off the rails, because he's also going off the rails. Yeah. What do you, obviously I'm completely with you. The shit he was saying was just really sad to me. Like when you're going on shows and saying anything like nice about Hitler, it's like, dude, stop. But what do you think? Like he seems to be uncancelable and still somehow, despite it, like in a weird way, lovable. Like love's a strong word, but like
lovable's a reach for me.
Like you get a laugh seeing him say random shit, not that stuff. You know what I mean?
I think he's one of those cases where, unfortunately or unfortunately, his art is so good. It's been so good over the years that, and it's when he goes off on his rant and he's like, "I'm the Picasso of this generation." He's kind of right. He's kind of right. and it sucks that he's out here saying horrible stuff about Jewish people and he's bigging up Hitler. It's embarrassing, and it's sad to see somebody that artistically is so smart, but like from a self-awareness point of view, is so dumb. But he's coming out saying he's got autism now. I mean, that's certainly not an excuse, but also
it's not an excuse. He definitely does, though.
It's like a point of understanding of like, okay, maybe that explains some of this stuff. But it's really sad to watch someone. I mean, I grew up listening to Kanye. I remember College Dropout coming out, being a kid, and just really loving this new rapper that I'd found that was kind of smart. Like his early bars compared to the other guys that he was around, people like Jay-Z that were on his label. As far as the people that he was around coming up, he was completely different. He was this backpack rapper that was kind of cool and commercial, not street, but from Chicago. So it's been sad to see as far as like the things that he's put out there over the last couple of years being kind of embarrassing and sad and just, offensive to people. But it's his artistry that always saves him. He's such a good artist and he's made so much good art over the years that it's like, you can never really count him out. People are always going to be interested in what he has to say. As much as I hate the stuff that he says publicly when he drops an album, of course I'm going to listen to it and give it a chance. I've not really felt the Donda stuff that he's released recently, to be honest. Ain't too many Kanye tracks I'm putting in rotation, but like, you can't ignore the guy. He's going to be, as long as he's alive, people are going to want to hear what he has to say.
We really, there's compositions, obviously, of famous composers that we have today, so we can see like what Beethoven did and Mozart did and stuff. But when you look at history, it's really been since like the early 1900s where we have a real audio history. So you have to take what I'm about to say in a grain of salt. But in the history of the world, Kanye West is without a doubt, I don't think there's even a question, the greatest combination of audio-visual genius to ever live. Right? You put those two together because, again, the audio side of it is really only about 120 years old, 110 years old. So you look at that and you look at what he can do from a visual creation perspective, and then you look at what he can do in music, and it's unbelievable. And like his stuff, I don't mean to be like dramatic about stuff, but like he's one of those artists, and there are a handful of them that literally can make me emotional, just not him hearing what he has created. And some stuff I'll listen to a song I've listened to 1,000, 2,000 times before, and I'll hear new things that he did and just be like, God damn, holy shit. And so there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, yeah, just don't say that stuff. But then there's another part of me that's like, well, he is mentally sick as well. And then there's another part of me that's like, well, everyone who's ever been evil is mentally sick, so am I going to write them all off for that too? And then there's another part that's like, I think he's just saying things sometimes. Yep. Like when the cameras go off and once he's like gotten his little rant out, does he even think some of this stuff? Maybe. Does he think all of it though? Probably not. He's just one of those guys. Like he's on the spectrum. He's got rapid narcissism that is definitely partially a result of that. He has all kinds of other mental issues, and he grabs a microphone whenever he can see it. I mean, that's a train that's a train wreck.
Yeah, no,
it's always going to be that way.
It's a mess, and it's a shame that, but no one's perfect. What we can only hope for, he's this great, amazing artist. If only he would just not say these insane things. But it's like, he is what he is, He's, it's probably some of whatever the chemicals he's got floating around that make him a genius, partly why he's got no filter, partly why he says such crazy shit. And it's unfortunate because he's somebody that I would have looked up to, but now he's said a lot of stuff that's sort of like, you're just like, I can't really rock with that.
Right, 100%.
It's unfortunate. But yeah. I couldn't deny his artistry. I think in 100 to 200 years, people are going to look back on him like they look back on Beethoven and people like that. He's a genius when it comes to art and creation and just vision. But a lot of geniuses are flawed, so that's how it be.
I have a saying that I'm sure someone else had to say at some point, but whatever. There is, for when you look at the highest level of genius, there's a price they pay. And it comes in different forms. For him, I think we've laid out what those prices are. And obviously it doesn't, condone and some of the shit he does. But you look at geniuses across time, there was always a price. Elon has a price. Elon is also someone in a different way. He's on the spectrum, right? And it doesn't have to be like, oh, they're on the spectrum. There are different levels to this thing. And it's just something about the equilibrium in the universe when people are just gifted with something so beyond the comprehension of pretty much everyone else they ever come into contact with. There are just things that then, maybe in their life or that the universe balances out and says, well, fuck you on this. And I've always felt that way with him, but I've never felt it more than, looking at it over the last year or so in the aftermath of this stuff.
It's messed up, man. But we'll find another genius, man. Ye. It's unfortunate that he's gone so weird. We're looking for another Ye, man. I'm waiting for the next Ye. This Ye is kind of fucked up now. I'm waiting for the new Ye to come through, man. I'm scouting for that new genius.
You see any candidates?
From the artists that are really, really genius. Thinking on another level, man. Who could I think of? No one's emerged like the impact Kanye had when he first came out, and it was like, yo, this guy's speaking like, even just things like his song like Jesus Walks, like,
oh, it's incredible.
There'd never really been a hip hop record like that. It was like a gospel hit.
Talk
record.
about God and it won't be played, but it got played. Yeah,
he broke the mold. He changed that with that song.
Closest thing was Tupac, but none of his songs like that went hardcore mainstream. Like Ghetto Gospel wasn't playing on Q102.
Man, I couldn't point to anybody that I feel has come out that's even got a shred of the potential that Tupac and Ye had. I mean, no, I can't think of anyone that's really on that level that's come through. I mean, I don't know if anyone comes to mind for you, but I'm trying to think who's really respected as an artist, who's about to be the next big thing in that.
Yeah,
department.
when we're talking next, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Like who's your GOAT list? It doesn't have to be in order, but your 5 that you're like in the history of rap for all its broad subgenres put together. If you had to say 5,
right now, Youngboy would be number 1 for me. Previously, my number 1 would have been Lil Wayne. But having done that documentary about Youngboy, I felt like I really got an understanding of like his story and where he's coming from and his artistry. And I feel like Youngboy is now for this generation what Wayne was to that previous generation. And like to me, Lil Wayne was kind of one of the greatest when it came to rap. Really authentic. I mean, from New Orleans, like the real just authentic. He'd been through this. He'd been, Wayne became famous very young, but he'd grown up in real tough circumstances, right, in the streets of New Orleans. And I feel like him, as far as his artistry, the way that he was able to just like tell stories, and he wasn't the first, but he was one of these rappers that really pioneered not writing stuff down and just jumping in the booth and just freestyling and just having these authentic, beautiful, smart, funny lyrics that he would just come out with on the spot, just in the booth, just freestyling. You listen to a Lil Wayne album and it's just like he just hopped in that booth and just whatever came to him was just fire, and it's laid down there for you to enjoy. So Wayne's like my number 2. I'd probably throw number 3 to Drake, because I think as far as artistry goes, Drake's really speaking the language of the times. Like the songs Drake makes about relationships, the things that he talks about, despite him being at the top of the mountain, he's damn near a billionaire. He makes stuff that's relatable. When Drake raps about relationships, you really feel it, and you're like, oh, man, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be going through that and to have those feelings. So Drake's definitely I put him number 3. New York, just as far as New York rapper I love who just really brings their lyrics to life, like Action Bronson's always been a favorite of mine. Just love the way that he kind of tells stories and paints pictures and uses just words and vocabulary that you just wouldn't expect.
Have you met him yet?
I've never met him, no, but a huge fan.
Actually, no, I did. When you're here.
I met him years ago. I think it was one of his first ever shows in the UK before he really blew up. So I met him backstage. I was rolling to that show with the guys. Done some beats for him, the purist, big guy in the UK. But I met him way back at that event in London, but I ain't met him since he's been the big name. But I'm a huge fan of him, man. I respect him a lot. And then lastly, on my number 5, I'd probably put King Von, because I just feel like nobody ever put the street stories, put them down as coherently as Von did, as far as like really doing that shit in the streets, and then actually having the talent and ability to tell the stories of what he did as a real story, like storytelling. I don't think we had a storyteller as good since like Slick Rick back in the day. But then King Von was really killing shit.
Yeah.
Even though as sad as it is and as messed up as it is, and I don't condone what he did, I don't think as far as gangster rap, no one's ever done it like Von, as far as really doing it and having a true talent for telling those stories. So I put Von on my top 5 for that as well.
Wow.
So that's my 5.
That's a hell of a 5. That was
It's a bit of a messed up 5.
Outside the box 5. I like it.
People don't like hearing Youngboy at number 1, but that's
I don't care.
That's on the list.
It's all personal taste, and like you have that group you put together is a very different group. Across the board too.
It's not your average
cool.
top 5 for sure.
No,
most people they go. There's the obvious, the Jay-Z's and the Nas's. Drake's on a lot of top people's top 5s, but
I don't put Drake and Kanye separately. 2 different types of people there. I don't, I mean, this is like an ultimate sign of respect. I don't put them in the rap category. I cannot compare it because they're their own thing. They both invented their own things.
They've
and
transcended the genre.
Yes, 100%. And it's not like maybe when they first came up, like it was more like a little bit of pure rap. But if you look at the greatness they've done over the years, so much of what they do, it's genre bending. It's around different genres. So like it's impossible for me even to put like, let's compare Kanye and Tupac. There's no comparison.
Yeah.
Like they do way different things at extremely high levels differently than each other. Same thing, Pac and Drake, right? But then you look at these other guys where it's more, even if they're doing it differently, they're doing it drill or they're doing it old school gangster rap or they're doing it more like mainstream rap. Like there's at least a similar pattern that I can tie together there to kind of compare like, okay, do I fuck with that? But at the end of the day, it's still art. So it's like, what mood are you in? Are you in a Lil Wayne mood or are you in like an Action Bronson mood? Like these are very different speeds. You know, I have to be in the right state to listen to Drake or listen to Kanye or listen to Tupac. Like that's the strange thing about it. We change up with what we want at a certain time.
Well, I think all the people that you mentioned, they're all people that really changed the game as far as different ways that we view the scene. And yeah, it's hard to compare Kanye to Drake as far as like what they actually did, but then you can compare the impact as far as like what Ye really did was almost like he kind of hit the reset button on kind of the street rap in the sort of early 2000s. People like Jay-Z and 50 that had really been running things, and Kanye made it cool to be smart and nerdy again. Like he said it before as like the nerds are in the building. Like Kanye brought the nerds back. I think he's got that line. I can't remember the line, but he kind of brought nerdy backpacker guys that are thinking about their bars back from where things were, where they were very gangster and it was very street and it was all about like looking tough. The same with Drake. He kind of made sensitive guys rapping about their feelings pop. You know, how many times you wouldn't want to have a rapper rapping about being in their feelings about a girl, being down bad about a girl. That's embarrassing. Drake made that cool, doing Marvin's Room of like, you know, I'm down, I'm hurt by what happened with that girl, making that cool. And so like all these people you're talking about are people that I feel like changed the game and made it okay to be a certain way that it wasn't before. And I feel like that's really the time, you know, even you talk about Tupac, you know, like he was really kind of bringing that thug life shit to life before. Obviously gangster rap was a thing, but then his was like a gangster that's thinking about shit, you know, like Brenda's Had a Baby. He's a gangster talking about this shit that's going on in the hood, but in this thought-provoking way that nobody had ever really done before. Whereas NWA is probably a lot less thought-provoking, a lot more emotional. Just fuck the police. We're coming straight out of Compton. Fuck the police. Tupac makes you think about that shit.
Well, he was another one. He was an absolute genius, like as a human being, like intellectually, and paid price. He had some severe bipolar issues. He had all kinds of trauma from his life or whatever. And you look at Pac, like, I don't want to make it. Let me be careful I make this comparison. Like, I made the joke about Sneako having 4 different eras. Pac and rap had a similar, not on, like, actually on a good level of, like, making actually great shit, not just saying W chat to fucking a bunch of 12-year-olds.
So you're saying Sneako's the Tupac of streaming?
See,
that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. Yo, I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here.
I didn't want that, but I'm saying
like
that multiple personalities thing. Pac could go from, I love that you said Brenda's Got a Baby, but Pac could go like from Keep Your Head Up to Hit 'Em Up, like that. And it happened, snap of a finger, like same session. There's a guy I know who was extremely close with him. And like when he tells me some of the stories of behind the scenes and what he could do and how it would just flip and it's like 2 different people. I mean, that was the price. That's what it was. And he also, you know, he could make 8 songs in an hour and they were all good. I mean, do you know how many songs he made? I mean, it's like in the thousands that will never see the light of day because he didn't want them to.
Yeah.
It's crazy. His workhorse shit was fucking crazy, bro.
But that's the thing. I think the truest artists are the people, they don't need a lot of time to sit down and craft something. It's true to them and it's all about them communicating their truth. That's right. And you can do that. If you are somebody that has that artistic talent where you can take them feelings inside that there's no labels, that's just a feeling, but then they can turn that into communicating into words, into their worldview. And you know, there's very few artists that you can really look to that you can say they really communicated a lot. And that's what it's all about. Like rappers are basically seeing what there's got going on in their hood or their background or where they're from and communicating that. And you know, that's how it's sort of like, it's like they're you know, people say like pressure makes diamonds. It's like a lot of these rappers, the more shit they've been through, if they can articulate themselves, just the more beautiful art that they've got that they can give to the world. It's unfortunate, but some of the people that have been through the worst stuff, they make the greatest art because they have a lot to say and they can communicate something that a lot of people maybe wouldn't have been able to understand had they not been here. So, you know, we've got to be grateful for we even had people like Tupac here on this earth for a period of time where he could help people, help contribute to the understanding of what his people were going through. And that's what hip hop's about to me. You know, it's all about that storytelling and like hearing about where people are from. That's a million miles where I'm from, but I'm getting an understanding through it, through their art. And like, I don't know, hip hop's just so inspiring to me, man. You know, that's why I love it. I truly love this shit. It's not fake. I love this stuff.
Oh, I can tell. And like, I mean, people should be able to tell watching your channel. I mean, my God, but like, it comes through. Like, you light up talking about it. It's a beautiful thing. So,
I love it.
Dude, I love your channel. As I said at the outset, I want everyone to go check it out. We'll have the link in the description. Thanks so much for getting this in while you were over in America. But anything you got coming up that you want to promote?
I got a big Chicago documentary coming up. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be crazy. It's one of my favorite videos that I've been working on. It's a big famous Chicago story that you'd know, but you don't know the full extent. So that's something I'm working on. It's about to drop hopefully by end of the month. But and then just from there, just non-stop videos, man. I'm just trying to keep it going.
And are you looking to do anything beyond? Like, do you have thoughts on like 5 years from now, like stuff you want to do beyond just making documentaries?
I mean, I'd love one day to do a Netflix show, like to get the Netflix deal. That's always been like a holy grail of mine. But right now, I love being a YouTuber. I love YouTube. I love the platform. Like, I just want to keep growing and be the better version of me that I can get to, man.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you for coming, brother. We'll do it again sometime. Everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace. Thank you guys for watching the episode. Before you leave, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. It's a huge help. And also, if you're over on Instagram, be sure to follow the show at Julian Dorey Podcast or also on my personal page at Julian D. Dorey. Both links are in the description below. Finally, if you'd like to catch up on our latest episodes, use the Julian Dorey Podcast playlist link in the description below. Thank you.